It's unreasonable. It's unreasonable if this Jid West Side Gun TikTok we literally just watched is actually a real thing. Jid and West.
I need it in my veins.
This is
as soon as possible.
This is as insane as when you, me, and Isaac did a rain dance and got Drake to drop an album.
The rain dances is insane. No, yeah, that actually did happen. I forgot about
A real
that. No,
thing.
I'm very excited. If we get a West Side Gun and a Jid project,
Denzel Curry's
so
anywhere
dudes.
near that. Anywhere near that.
I need it in my life.
Obscene.
We're doing Griselda round 2.
Griselda. Like, okay.
Another year.
All right. So we should probably just address the elephant in the room right away.
Yeah.
There's now a lost episode.
The first ever.
First ever.
We are
First
calling
ever
it the lost episode.
Right. Yeah. So potential album of the year, Michael came out. And we reviewed that along with the Don Toliver tour. And it was just my thoughts. Purvis and Jasper's didn't show up. Despite having amazing opinions on the album. It was a great conversation. It was truly one of the worst things that's ever happened to me. Besides maybe the War on Terror. Like,
I was gonna say, of all the episodes, that one was actually like a long one.
that was like a long one. That was like a good one. That was like a very satisfying one. It was not
an artist that we don't discuss as much.
Yeah. So,
but
we will revisit it in the coming weeks.
Yes,
but
because like we said, at least I believe that it's a contender.
It's totally a contender for album of the year. I think we all agree that it is, because I've only grown to like it more in the 2 weeks it's been out. Right, like
the fact that the Religious album is now lost. It's a lost episode. This is bull. This is straight bull. I smell collusion.
Maybe smells a little something about the nature of the universe. Also, we did an actual album about a gospel album.
Yeah, we did do that, to be fair. I was
going to say, you should have been listening to that new Kirk Franklin then.
Yeah, Jesus. Honestly. All right, we're switching it up. We're doing Kirk Franklin.
No. But yeah, no, that was a big bummer. So
I'm back. It's been 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, Purvis hasn't been here in 2 weeks.
Hello, everyone.
Last time you saw us, it was just me and Jasper. We did a quick rotation check. That was fun. Might do that in the future. Who knows? Big things are coming.
And big things have happened since our last episode. It's what we're going to be talking about. We went to Summer Smash.
Yeah, so this is the Summer Smash episode. We went all 3 days.
Hell of a weekend.
It was, and I believe this is the scientific term, bananas. It was incredible. Like,
honestly, though, without getting too much into detail about it yet, that was my first festival. That was the first festival I went to.
Yeah.
All days, and I will say, I don't want to say like life changing as though like it was some newfound thing that I've like discovered or experienced, but like it honestly was. A lot of things that happened that weekend. There were a couple of moments I looked at Brandon and I was just like, damn.
This is wild.
Like,
yeah.
This is dope. Yeah. This is some dope stuff.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of like really, really dope moments that we will talk about when we get there, the main subject of the show. So yeah, got a handful of albums coming out. Some really fun. I think this is like a really fun week of releases.
Yes. We'll jump right into it. We actually have a couple of albums coming out. I've mentioned them before, but Coda the Friend is coming out with Protea, I believe, or something like that. I don't know how to pronounce it. He is extremely consistent and someone I highly recommend. Very low key, very easy to listen to.
Yeah.
And his lyrics are usually meaningful, so you'll take something away from it.
Sick.
We also have The Alchemist is back.
Dude, I cannot wait to hang out in La Conda Vista. Dude, this is gonna be fucking great.
This is gonna be a lot of fun.
It's a really short yeah, it's just like 4 songs, right?
Yeah. I believe it is heavy packed with features, but I'm here
He's
for
a producer.
Yeah.
Although I hope he starts rapping more. I don't care. I think
that would be interesting.
He's the Tony Soprano of rap. He should do it. Like
the Tony Soprano of rap. All right. We also We have
this is a huge one. This is the biggest release of the week. 100%.
This is the biggest release so far of the year, actually. In terms of like news, like Lil Uzi Vert is back after long-awaited break since his last album.
3 years.
It was Eternal Take, right?
Eternal Take was early 2020.
Yeah, it was February that year, right?
COVID. I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It's been talked about for so long. The cover art has changed multiple times. What we've known about the album has changed so many times. But just like we did the Rain Dance, we went to go see him in Summer Smash, and all of a sudden he's dropping. I'm saying it's us.
It might be.
But yeah, this is the biggest release so far of the year. I think, in my opinion, in terms of like hype and excitement and anticipation, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Jasper, you claimed album of the year.
I'm so excited.
Over the weekend, you said album of the year.
I'm so excited for this. I don't doubt it's going to be a contender, to be honest.
I totally think Uzi has it in him. Like, I mean, the only reason Eternal Take wasn't a contender for me was because like that was a dense year. You know,
that was a dense year, yeah.
And
that was my like pandemic album, personally.
Yeah, like totally, and I totally get that. And
everyone
it's like
had one.
Everyone had one, right? I had a few, and like it was just like there were just so many good projects that dropped that year, right? Like After Hours and Run the Jewels 4 just were dominating my listening. Not to mention Kid Cudi. I really liked Man on the Moon 3. And,
yes.
What was the other one? Dropped in February. Brent Faiyaz.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck the World. That one was another favorite from that year.
Very fitting for that year.
Yeah. Look, I have no doubt it's a contender. I guess like I'm just like, this is the demographic gap. Gonna be a subject that comes up a lot this year. But like I was very this episode I meant. God damn.
Yeah.
You know, I was very Killer Mike's my favorite rapper of all time. Like I was more excited for Michael than I am for the Pink Tape, but undeniably going to be an album of the year contender. You know, I do think Uzi has could maybe like not all of his projects are super great, but he certainly has it in him. So definitely,
I just want a concept album by Uzi, and I don't think I'm ever going to get it. That's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah, but this is certainly the thing I'm most excited to listen to.
We also have.
And
sorry, go ahead. Jasper?
I was just going to say, if the reveal cinematic is anything to go by, we're looking at some high budget music videos.
Oh, yeah.
And some really cool visuals to go with this project, which I'm a huge sucker for that.
Yeah, those are always
good. I forgot to bring that up.
And that trailer,
slide.
Yeah, the trailer was very sick. I like the trailer a lot. So I think it's good.
Interesting enough, he did play into. I understand it's the Pink Tape, but he played into the Jewel. I feel like he got that removed so long ago.
Yeah,
like, didn't fans like pull it off of him or something?
I didn't know it got ripped off.
Yeah.
At one point it did, and then he stopped wearing it, I think. Yeah.
Oh.
That made the news a little while ago.
Yeah.
Interesting. I did not know it. I thought he removed it. Like,
let me see.
But I could be wrong. I have no idea.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's definitely very fitting that we saw
in September of 2021. The large pink diamond implanted in his head got dislodged when he jumped into the crowd at Rolling Loud.
Okay, well, yeah.
But yeah,
what'd you think was gonna happen?
Fans ripped it right out of his forehead. Yeah, he posted the photo where he was like bleeding from that spot.
Oh, I remember that. Oh, that hurts. That's painful.
That sounds like a literal nightmare I've had.
Jesus Christ, did he end the show? I hope he ended the show.
I would assume so, yeah.
Anyway, we have the Metro version. We've missed a lot of news in the past weeks. One thing that's coming back up, we have Young Thug has finally dropped an album. For those who may not know yet,
yeah,
business is business.
It was a lot of loosies, but it was quality though.
Exactly. They're releasing the Metro version. I was taking a look into it. The only difference I saw was, well, two differences actually. One, it was reordered in a different fashion. And the second one, most importantly, in my opinion, they actually released the leaked song that was on SoundCloud in the Metro version that was not on the first version. It is the Juice WRLD Nicki Minaj song Money. And the unique thing that's actually nice to hear about these type of things is that this was actually recorded when Juice was alive. So like this is a real recording piece that he put out. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm sure Young Thug put it in the vault and like
exactly.
Yeah.
And I've heard on SoundCloud, beat is disgusting, nasty, filthy, all the words.
All right.
So I'm very excited to go visit that. And then Brandon, we have our boy.
Yeah, Shaw Calhoun. He's a friend of the show. He's dropping the follow-up to Fly Langston, which he came on the show to talk about. The 4-piece EP. I can't think of anything I like more than a 4-piece. So I love the look of it. The very like, I like how he picks like the clean concepts and everything. So it's gonna be a quick listen. I'm very excited. Love it.
Honestly, I want to reach out to him.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, do you want to talk about it at all?
Yeah. We'll see if he's going to be on the show. I was just talking to him. I was like, oh, congrats on the album. And I'm going to send him this episode because I told him we were going to talk about it. So, hey, Shaw.
Perfect.
I have a great idea for merch for him.
Okay.
Free idea right here. Anywhere he goes to perform, he should have shirts made where it's like, what things where you go like to a tourist location. It's like, I did blank at blank, right?
Mm-hmm.
For him, it would be like, I Shaw Calhoun at, because it's like seeing him in concert, and then it's just like the name of the city.
That's very good. I like that. Shaw,
you can make it a thing.
Hit us up.
Still the idea.
Unpaid Nobody's branding agency? What?
We can make it happen. Yeah. We're taking over every aspect of the industry.
We're doing it all.
Nobody saw it coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you took it too far.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have
singles.
singles.
The urge to hurt you.
We have some actually very exciting singles coming out. We have J Rock is back from TDE. He released East Side with a video. I am ready for TDE to start existing again.
Yeah, no, like
we got SZA last year late, and that is all I can recall.
Yeah,
being honest. So
I mean, we also got Absol.
Oh, we did get Absol actually.
Yeah,
and that was also late in the year. Both of those coming out.
They came out with like within a week of each other too, which I don't think helps. Although I feel like because it mostly charted this year, people haven't given SZA the credit for the monster.
Oh yeah, she's doing her second lap of tours.
Yeah, dude.
Who does 2 laps? Like, come on,
insane. Like.
In like global tour as well.
Yeah, so like, look, it's not sustainable, but I'm sure TD is going to be just fine off that album alone for a while. Like,
you're not wrong.
Not to devalue the art at all, but did you all see the thing about SZA that trended this week on Twitter?
What was trending?
She finally like turned around while doing one of her like IG live dressing room things. Man, like. The absolute power to have that be the thing that gets you trending on Twitter is amazing.
It must be nice. She did that when she was on stage. She actually twerked on stage for the first time, and everyone was like, "Oh, she actually does this." And yeah, it was trending.
Insane.
But
yeah, no, happy to see J Rock back. It's been a long time.
Yes, it has a very long time.
It's so confusing that they have J Rock and J Electronica.
It doesn't help.
Like,
honestly,
it's so confusing. And then we have Sampha.
Yeah, this is one of my boys. I'm very excited for this.
It's called Spirit. So, album of the year for Purvis.
Easily. Drop it now. I'm extremely ready for it.
So yeah.
You know what? My top 10 albums now are going to be all gospel albums.
You know who I would love to see Sampha do a song with?
Everyone. Who?
Well, yes, but Theophilus. Specifically.
Theophilus.
Yeah, Theophilus London, I mean, singers, pipes, range.
Yeah.
Could be cool.
I don't recognize the artist. That's the only thing.
He's the guy who was featured on All Day, the Kanye song.
Oh, interesting.
They might know each other low-key then.
Yeah.
They all have very similar mutual friends.
Yeah. Oh, also he went missing like earlier last year. That was like a thing all over social. Yeah.
Yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah, and then he was found like fine, but I don't know what that was about.
He was doing his thing. Sometimes I want to disappear from the world for a few weeks. I understand. But moving on to the actual news that's been coming out recently, we have the 10-year anniversary of the Doors. He is doing a live show in August at the Nova. Just want to throw that out there really quick for all the Earl Sweatshirt fans.
Yeah, no, Doors is a big one. Yeah, Earl Sweatshirt's never been my bag, but Doors was big, huge.
Oh yeah, So I'm very excited for that. It actually has one of my favorite 3-song runs.
Really?
We were supposed to do an episode on, but yeah, highly recommend Doris. If you've never listened to it, go back and listen to it.
Yeah,
it is dark. I'm not gonna lie, but it's good.
Yeah.
We also have everyone's favorite artist. We have Drake releasing a book.
Yeah.
That is supposed to be
poetry.
A book of poetry.
Is this his To Pimp a Butterfly?
Oh God, I hope not.
What if he was like, he did a song about like going back to the Vava or whatever, and then like in between tracks you hear like, I heard you were. He starts reciting poems.
I hope not. I got to see some of the pages. I did not get the book because I don't want the book, but I saw some of the pages, and it is as petty, corny, toxic as you can imagine.
Props to Drake for also completely biting Virgil's style when it comes to print media release. It's crazy. It looks exactly like the Figures of Speech book that released for the exhibit here in town. Blue with the white branding, and just 4 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows what's the story behind that? Because I'm sure they've collabed, but I don't know.
They have. Virgil designed Drake's plane. The rap on Drake's plane.
Yeah.
Who knows what's going on there? He might have had an input in it, to be honest.
You know what?
Could be old.
That's true. You know what the bottom of Drake's plane says, right, Purvis?
I've seen it before.
It says, "Hi, Millie Brownie Brown."
Ooh, it's the clouds all over, and on the bottom in like the Virgil script, it says, "If you're reading this, we left."
Oh yeah. I do remember that actually. Dang, I haven't seen that in a while.
No,
but I mean, hey, we're here for the possible album, not the book, and barely the album. So actually, I took that back.
We're going to be seeing Drake by the time the episode after this comes out. We'll be talking about Drake on the next episode of the podcast.
Most likely, yes.
We will almost certainly be doing a Drake Lil Uzi review next week.
Yeah,
because that's what we're doing.
It just works.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do gotta say, I think like. I don't know. I like print media. I'm a sucker for books. I like when people release books. So generally speaking, anything that like print media is like so fucked nowadays. Like anything that brings any hype to it at all, I can't help but like a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah, I wouldn't buy.
Have you seen any of the pages?
No, I haven't.
I have. It's miserable.
Yeah.
You're mostly buying white space.
Yeah.
So waste of paper.
That's every design book ever. Like
that is also true.
No, I'm saying it's literally like a sentence per page in the center of the page.
I literally have a book on my desk that's
less.
A book on design. It's a book about writing copy. It's called Junior. It's really good. Every page is like it's written in the form of a headline, right? Because like that's what you write as a copywriter. So it's like yeah, like I've seen all. When you work in like media and you see like printed portfolios and shit, you see the most pretentious shit you've ever seen. So I'm certain I know exactly what this book looks like.
One of the pages says no one is gaslighting you in italics.
Yeah.
So, don't buy it.
That's not true. You're crazy.
I know, right?
I've never gaslit anyone.
Whenever Rachel's like, "You're gaslighting me," I go, "That's not true. You're crazy." Like
works every time.
works every time if I want to get hit in the jaw. Like kidding.
Do not call the police.
Yeah.
Another thing, I actually want to go over this very quickly because I don't think it's a
it's
groundbreaking type of thing, but I think it's very unique and I think it could go somewhere.
What?
Young Thug actually yesterday had a global streaming listening party for the Metro version of the album.
Yeah.
And something like this seems like it's very straightforward and easy to do.
It's like a listening party, but over the internet, right?
That's literally what it was. And I think it has potential to actually be something more interesting to see, a different way to listen to music, because we've talked about all of the different avenues.
The Weeknd did that with Dawn FM. He did like a live streamed listening party, and it was sick. It was, and it's crazy because I feel like there's always going to be like the in-person feeling, right? Mm-hmm. There's always going to be like when you go to a listening party, whether it's something like most of them and it's a little bit more intimate, or like the one we went to for Donda, right? It's always like being there and being like an actual physical space with people is always going to be a thing. But it seems like time and place digitally is just as important to a lot of people. So it seems like this is a really smart thing to do. Exactly. So I like this. I hope this is something more and more people do, because it's just very accessible. You know, anyone with an internet connection can be a part of this album's release. And like usually a lot of them are like, beyond, not even behind paywalls really. It's, I'm a fan.
I can't wait until Meta starts like sponsoring these, where it's like you have to show up with your metaverse avatar in order to enjoy it, and it's like you have to pay money to go to a fake concert and have Mark Zuckerberg laugh at you from upstage. It's gonna be exciting.
We should kill Mark Zuckerberg if that happens. If that's
well, I mean, Elon Musk is gonna try, right? I mean, that's a thing.
Andrew Tate's gonna train him
from Romanian prison.
Yeah, from Romanian prison for sex trafficking. He's like, we will take a strike at the clan's leader. It's like, what are you saying, you loser?
Like, I don't know, dude. That sounded like a Trump impression to me.
What is the difference?
What's the difference? Who cares? They're all fucking lizard people. I hate them.
One of them talks about China, and the other one's like, "Don't talk to me, idiot."
Like, it's like, oh, I put up in my Bugatti. Like,
what color is your Lamborghini?
It's like I don't give a shit. I'm happy, dog. I can look in the mirror.
Real.
Like.
Real shit.
It's like, I don't need a Bugatti. Sometimes I smile. Like,
I did not expect a tape part of the episode to come.
And here we are. Moving on.
That's funny. Oh my God. Brandon, you want to talk about the biggest news of like the century for you?
I mean, I love this, but it's also like, I think this is like, it's nice that it's officially confirmed. Donald Glover, Childish Gambino, is going to come back for the Community movie. Community is my favorite show of all time. Favorite of the podcast, I believe. And yeah, they're coming back for a movie. That was kind of always the thing. The bit was 6 seasons in a movie.
The prophecy is being fulfilled.
Yeah. And like, obviously with Donald Glover's star rising so aggressively after that show, there was always a question of like, would he be able to come back? And on one end, like, yeah, it's like very relieving to know that the answer is yes, and he's going to be in it for sure. But on the other end, like, maybe just because like I'm such a fan and like I followed this stuff, I remember there was like a reunion episode where they did like a live stream during the pandemic, and he showed up for it. He was he did the read along, right? And like someone asked him about that, and they were like, "Are you going to be in the Community movie?" He's like, "Yeah, probably." Like, so he's like always said like, "Yeah, I'm going to be in this thing," right? Like, there's never been the hardcore confirmation like it is now, so that's relieving. But it's just like, yeah, it's
kind of expected it.
I totally expected it, especially with like Atlanta ending, and like, him just always saying like, "Yes, this is something I wanted to be a part of." I always thought the only reason it ever wouldn't happen just because he's so busy.
I really hope he comes back to like teach, like like the character comes back to teach, and Pierce is still there taking classes.
Yeah,
that would be a nice touch.
Pierce is dead.
You're right.
Yeah, Pierce, his hologram shows up in season 6.
Deep fake Pierce.
But yes,
fake.
I would love that. I don't think Chevy Chase is dead, but he won't be on the show. Like,
no, definitely not.
Yeah, but yeah, no. Yeah, super excited about that. Barely counts as a rap thing, but we all love Childish.
He's a rapper.
We all love Childish Gambino here. It's also like super funny to be like to watch like seasons 3 of Community. And be like, in between takes, he's writing because of the internet. Like,
Yeah.
That I will
man
never.
That can do it all.
Which is like one of the best seasons of probably the best season of sitcom television for me ever. Is season 3 of Community, and the fact that like one of the best albums, completely unrelated, is happening in the background is like mind blowing to me.
It's true.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it's that unrelated. I feel like there's so many themes that carry between like the writing of his first 2 albums and also just like some of the plots that happen to the character on Community.
Sure, I think if it was Camp, I would totally buy that, right? Like, I totally think Camp plays with a lot of the same themes, and like
totally. Well, Camp being first, yeah.
and
Camp
because
and
the
EP.
internet too, just to a much lesser degree.
That I can see. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. All right, and then we were going to talk about the Fantano Astroworld hasn't aged well thing, but there's actual Travis news. Purvis, what describe what happens, because Jasper wasn't even aware of it when we logged on.
You referring to like the Billboard stuff?
Yeah.
So yeah, this is actually extremely exciting. So there has been billboards put up in LA, advertising just the actual album coming out and the release coming out and hinting at the date coming out. There were 2 boards that I saw, 2 designs. There was one of just like a straight up watch, and the clocks are actually pointing to 7/21, which is a Friday, which lines up with normal release dates. And then the second one was the lock combination for the briefcase, which again, it was like, it seems like it was finishing a rotation to go to 7/21. So we are pretty much, we're at the climax. We're here.
We're in the end game now.
Literally, we have 3 more weeks, really.
Is it just me?
We're here.
Or when you look around online or out, just like talking to people, is it just me or is the hype not really there?
I mean,
I don't feel it like I felt Astroworld hype, you know?
Maybe because there's no singles.
That's probably what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's no singles.
Well, I mean, is Mafia gonna be on it?
Yeah, but those are so far away. Like,
true, those have been out for a while. Like Escape Plan and Mafia. Yeah,
I would say, yeah. Like, I like those songs. I would not have a problem with them being on the album. It's just like they're completely inert when it comes to the hype.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think singles play a big part of it. I think another thing that has played in part of it that I kind of was thinking about before, just taking into context the history of Travis Scott, going into Astroworld is significantly different from going into Utopia.
Yeah.
And when I say that, I feel like going into Astroworld, there's a lot of people, not necessarily on the fence, but just in the middle in terms of if they like Travis Scott or not. And so releasing that album and coming up to it, it was easier to just be like, oh, it's a good album, I like it, and jump towards the positive side.
Yeah.
Whereas now I think there is a greater divide between the fans, where like you're going to have the fans that always like Travis Scott and they are showing the hype and they do talk about it a lot, but also do recognize a lot of people that previously talked about Travis Scott and are just like kind of either about it or like, we'll get it when we get it.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of like the divide between it. And it could be due to the terrible concert deaths. It could be due to anything, really.
Yeah, no, I definitely think the concert and everything, like, and the way he conducted himself during the concert, like,
right.
No need to relitigate, but like, you know,
it makes
I think that soured a lot of people on Travis Scott. Also, like, I follow a ton of people who like work in like mixing and engineering, and like, it's a very open secret that Travis Scott just treats people like shit. And like, I think that sours a lot of people to him.
For sure.
You know, like in construct with, you know, the largest death count of any catastrophe at a live music show. Right. So
is that true?
I believe so.
I thought The Who had much more than that.
I think they had more casualties, but I remember looking up like people.
You know who else did is Metallica. That Metallica show they played when the USSR became Russia in 91.
Oh,
they played a show to 1.6 million people.
I think it was in America.
It was like
it was a.
Oh, true.
It was in the Fantano video where he puts up a site where he's like, yeah, it's like one of the worst tragedies in like music history, right?
Yeah,
in terms of just like death toll.
Oh, well, The Who, Cincinnati, Ohio, 11 people died, 26 people were injured.
Sheesh.
and that was in 1979.
Yeah.
So I think that because Astroworld was 10, right? Not that we're like arguing about which was which, but I feel like there have been other ones that have still been of that magnitude. Unfortunately, it was just pre-internet. There's not the coverage. There's not the visibility.
Yeah, sure.
So
and
people tend not to.
It was also a completely different world. The 70s, like for all intents and purposes, don't count.
100%.
And
I'm actually going to talk about that later.
Yeah.
Just
so
like not riots, but mosh pits and things like that.
Yeah, it's a little out of hands, right? Like, so I think now here's the thing, right? That's an opportunity for Travis to really win people over. If Utopia is a more mature, evolved project than Astroworld, I think he's going to turn this into a strength, right? I think it's a genuine question if he can do that or not. And what I mean by that is, like it could go either way. Like the answer could be yes, the answer could be no. So we just have to wait and see. I know personally, I'm just so saturated with the Travis Scott sound and its descendants, where it's like I'm just checking out because like it's always been just about the parts of like the genre that I give the least the shit about, and it's just the Cardi show, as much as I enjoyed it, was just like I could see the writing on the walls from like other genres and other movements I've been a part of. So I think like if Utopia is a step up, I think it's going to be a big thing. I think if it's equivalent to Astroworld, people are going to see it as behind. And I know that that's how I'm going to see it, and I think other people will feel similarly.
I could see that. Yeah, I kind of feel what you're saying about saturation, but I find that for me, saturation with music like that comes when I listen to it idly. Like if I'm not really paying attention and it's just on in the background, then I feel like I have my fill of it. If it's like too much, doing it too often. But if I ever put on like a good pair of headphones and just sit down, I feel like I just get drawn right back in. Something about it sonically, like listening to Astro Thunder with like good noise canceling headphones, I'm just like,
That's not what I'm talking about. I mean, like the amount of people who have
who like imitate the sound,
the sound, and don't have the skill of a Travis Scott
for sure.
So it has
the production background,
the production background, and it's all the bad parts of Travis Scott and none of the good parts. Like I agree. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. I think that has also. I think we'll talk about Cardi later, but I think that's also a factor with him, right? Like it's like he has like such a specific sound that like. There's been so many imitators of, right? And like that style, like it's something that it's, how do I put this? It's easy to imitate, but not easy to imitate well,
Yes.
Unlike something like a J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, which is something you can't imitate. You can't fake good bars. You know what I mean? Like, I guess like maybe like a Joyner Lucas comes close to that. But like,
Lyrical Miracle type stuff.
Like the Lyrical Miracle is like the closest thing to like faking good bars, but like, and like once again, like it's not as well, and it's not to say like Travis Scott doesn't have skill, like he absolutely does as a producer. It's just like his imitators don't. I guess same way with the Lyrical Miracle stuff. So like, who knows?
I mean, yeah, Ken Carson is a great example of like a Cardi derivative who's really blown up because people are craving more of that sound, and he's like the closest thing to Cardi who's putting out music.
That's absolutely something I have to bring up. Like I want to
bring it up later.
Spoiler alert. I think the fact that some people consider that a subgenre is just because Cardi doesn't post. Like doesn't.
Yeah.
If Cardi released as often as like Conway the Machine, it wouldn't be a subgenre. It would be imitators. Like it would and that's just the way I see it. But yeah. So Utopia might be coming next month, maybe the month after. Who knows? But
I mentioned to Brandon before we were on the air, Purvis. I looked up a picture of the briefcase one. The dial for the month is between 7 and 8. So I think it could go either way. Maybe he's like giving himself wiggle room just in case, he wants to sit in the Cadillac with Mike Dean a little longer and mix it.
And that makes sense with
I'm not upset.
That makes sense with Travis Scott. Like I don't think he's ever made a date and missed it.
Date.
But he certainly will sit on a hard date for as long as possible. Which I prefer. Like
But anywho.
All right, Jasper, you want to lead us off?
Yeah, so Summer Smash, 3-day affair, SeatGeek Stadium in Bridgeview, Illinois. Lots and lots of artists, lots and lots of really interesting characters, VIPs, other talent, and people who were there to either make content or to, take in the sights, the kind of festival scenery. Started out, it was a great weekend. It was super hot. Very low humidity the first day. Very, very sunny for the first 2 days too. So your boy got a little bit of the tan going on. But yeah, the setup was really nice. It was the actual stadium itself and some of the surrounding grounds that are just north of it. And there were a variety of vendors. There were 3 stages, and then there was also like a food truck and just like local food vendor section. And then you also had like other little interactive experiences with different sponsors and things throughout the kind of the festival space. So yeah, that was kind of like our introduction, was like that first day. I got there a little earlier because a friend of mine, who is the reason we were able to attend the way we did, needed some help setting up and stuff. So I was kind of like volunteering / not volunteering / earning us being there for part of the time. Yeah, super solid, and just like a very interesting kind of first day experience.
Yeah, I will say, getting there, the first thought off the hand was, how the hell are these stages going to be set up?
Yeah,
just because like
I was curious too.
What was interesting, they didn't put out a lot of news, or like a lot of
that was
what's
one of the
gonna happen.
That was something, because I think I'm the person here who's gone to the most festivals. I've gone to Lala a handful of times. I've gone to Riot Fest most of the times in the last decade. I've gone to Pitchfork once. So that was the thing that was like my biggest frustration of the weekend, was just like how there wasn't any information, right? Like you had to download the dedicated app, which like there wasn't any service. So it's like,
what's the point?
I don't think of downloading an app before I get to the festival.
I didn't download the app.
Yeah, and like, it's pretty typical for festivals to release their schedules a week, 2 weeks, even a month out. So like,
I do have to say, I did actually kind of respect the format of posting it the morning of, because they put it on their social medias too. But it gave wiggle room for like if something was going to be canceled or if something needed to be pushed, and that actually happened on the 3rd day because of rain. So they changed the timing a little bit. It was originally supposed to end at 11 p.m. every night, and it ended at 10:30 the 3rd night, and so they were able to like shift the calendar slightly, which I think was kind of cool.
Well, I don't think the thing is though that happens at every single festival, whether or not they publish a schedule first. Sure. Right, that is not a thing that is unique to Summer Smash.
No, that's fair.
So, like, look, for example, like I would have liked to have known if I was going to be able to see Little B or Rico Nasty before I got there. That was like the one frustration I had about like just the lack of information going in. But once I got there, I had a much better time.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And surprisingly enough, like with the stage setup, I understand why the stadium wasn't stage 1 because of safety reasons, but like I would have really liked stage 1, like the main stage being the stadium. You got all these people on the sides, and everyone can see.
Yeah, they did have, like, kudos to them for having like 2 really high quality stages, right? Yes. And I have to say, production value was really was really like the thing that impressed me the most, right? And we'll get to this maybe a little bit later, like when we talk about day 3, but like even seeing like how it sounded when there were relative issues was really impressive, because like I've seen issues happen all the time in these kind of settings, and they're usually not as minor as they were at Summer Smash. So yeah, that was kudos to them. I think there's an inherent vice to the venue that makes dude, you have to climb up and down the stairs of the stadium to get between the stages
nonstop.
Absolutely fucking hate that. Like I would much rather walk the 10 times the difference between the 2 stages at Lala than up and down the stairs. 100%. It was, especially in that heat, right?
It actually though, it was a like serious thing. Like it was a relevant thing. We had to deal with it the whole day.
Yeah.
Like if you're actually trying to see all the stages.
Yeah. If you're trying to go back and forth,
going up and down.
Right.
It is not handicapped.
And like, look, this isn't a mark on Summer Smash. It's an inherent vice of the venue, right? And all things considered, like, I actually think
they made it work.
I actually think they did it correctly. I think having stage 2 in the stadium was a lot smarter because you can have a larger format stage out in the field, and that was really the experience you got of like the large format, right? So, and safety reasons too, but I kind of went a different way with it, with just like you can have a bigger stage. Bigger stages lead to like bigger, grander shows. And I think that paid off throughout a lot of the shows we saw on that stage. So I think they set it up well. I think they managed their stages really well. Also, smart to put stage 3 in a tent, even though I don't think anyone cooled off in there because it was constantly packed.
Dude,
but it does like help with sun poisoning, which was a real serious concern. So like, you know, I thought the staging and everything, I liked it a lot. I think, you know, it's a lot smaller scale than the festivals I usually go to, but I think it was handled really, really well.
So I know that on Saturday it was at capacity. I think there was like wiggle room between 35 and 37,000 people for capacity for that day, depending on like what kind of bands sold, and it was full. So that was like the size of the crowd at max.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. Day 2 was probably the biggest.
Yeah, day 2 was definitely the biggest. I thought it might have been day 3. I don't know if it was tempered by the storm. But yeah, no, day 2 was crazy. Day 2 was one of the most dense crowds I've ever seen in my life.
The crowd specifically for Uzi when the sun was still up was like
crazy.
It was literally from the front of the stage to the tent for stage 3, which is like more than for Cardi, which is insane.
It was almost double like with Cardi, even though, you know, Cardi had a really dense crowd because people really get into it for Cardi.
Push forward,
but like so do they. But then again, they do for Uzi too. The one that was like, yeah, dude, we'll get to that. But yeah, no, I liked it. I love the stage setup. You know, I lament that they're not at Douglas Park anymore, but I think they did a really good job with what they were given. I definitely think there are better venue options, but as far as what Cole and the team put together for how to set this up, I think they were very successful.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think the highest positive for me was actually the selection of food, which sounds crazy.
Yeah.
But like the fact that there were so many different food trucks and like pricing wasn't like kill me level.
Yeah, no,
so it was like like going to a movie theater, which is kind of wild.
It was I have like weirdly strong opinions about food prices at music festivals. I'll say this, like this was the second cheapest.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so, there's like Riot Fest is obscene and My House and Pitchfork are even more.
Dude, my benchmark, benchmark for that is like going to Formula One, where it's just like rich Europeans. But so they're charging like $14 for a little metal can of beer. Like
I still think the craziest thing is though, like, because it's a festival that's known pretty accurately for being very expensive, but like some of the food at the same vendors that show up at Lala was like literally double the price at Summer Smash.
Oh really?
Like
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Lala has like suspiciously cheap food. Like I remember one year we went and we got chicken. It was pre-pandemic for the Childish Gambino show, and like it was cheaper than going to the Herald's on State and right there. Like
wow.
It was,
maybe it's they really like know that they're going to get their marketing in.
I think they have a very good contract with the city.
Yeah,
like, I think they have a very lucrative contract with the city that like Summer Smash just doesn't have because it hasn't been there for 30 years.
And it's also not in the city either.
Right.
Yeah.
And like it's also not in the city. And like, look, they're doing something right because it was still better than most festivals. Right? It's just that Lala is bizarre. Like
uncanny.
Uncanny. Dude, Lala has $8 beers. Like
right. But that's actually what you mentioned in terms of actually being in the city or not. I think that was the most negative part.
Yeah.
Of the concert. Even though I'm a suburban guy, I loved going to this concert and having it be so close. But like, it is
every venue
completely inaccessible.
Yeah,
it's completely inaccessible for like public transportation.
Yeah,
it's not even close.
Oh, like it's
hella people just trash driving Like you're jam packing thousands and thousands of people.
Yeah, Friday when we got there, kind of later in the day than we did Saturday and Sunday, right? The time to get over the bridge and like in a parking space was like double the time it takes for me to take to transit to Grant Park and get into the festival. Right? It took longer than my drive to Douglas Park, which is on the other side of town. Right? So it's not a very accessible stadium. Once again, I think, but that's an inherent vice of that venue. I think Summer Smash, I don't know, maybe on the outside it kind of sucks like every festival does, but like I think they did as good a job as they could, but you know.
And they provided parking. They actually had enough parking.
Yeah, and it was good.
So I'm looking at a map right now. First things first, mad props to them for the set design, like the full design of the venue, because that turf we were on, that's just gravel normally. Like it's usually just like parking lot from what I can see.
Okay.
So that's crazy.
Oh, if they laid down that turf for us, that's awesome. Yeah. I had no idea.
And then
it looked like it was a soccer field.
Yeah, it does. It looks like one, but it's just like they put it down for that. That's all gravel usually. And then second off, how absolutely baller would it be if at some point Summer Smash is held on Northerly Island? Because it's a little bit bigger.
100%. God, you read my fucking mind. Like that is 100% the venue. I think Summer Smash. I think Riot
We
Fest
spent 3 days together. The mind meld is complete.
I think Riot Fest should move there too. Like I love Northerly Island. The only music festival I don't want to move is Lala because I love it.
The problem is getting in and out, but that's it. Like
yeah, but it's a lot. It's a lot better than this situation was. Although you know we happened to get lucky, but you know it was kind of a nightmare when it came to accessibility. Like I give Lyrical Lemonade all the credit in the world for really making a good experience out of like the palette that they had. Mm-hmm. But the venue, you know, so.
So I think the other half I wanted to look into, especially opening up on the first day, we were thinking about the venue. How do you feel about the actual people that are there?
Yeah, this is the other like big problem I have.
Are we talking the crowd?
Yeah, the crowd, the general.
About the crowd, the general admission, like.
Yeah.
What are your just thoughts in general? Because I just want to open up the conversation with the fact that I think it was the third day or something like that. I looked at both of you and I asked, what percentage of the population actually went to Lyrical Lemonade's website, took their own card and money, paid for it, and are there for themselves?
Yeah.
Versus like everyone else, whether it be parents paid for it, you're on a date and someone brought you, or just like people like us who ended up just being there. Like, what is the actual percentage? Because I think we were around 50 to 60%, and I think that's accurate, and that says a lot.
Yeah. Well, this is because, like, what's the market for this, right? Like, and we talked about this a little bit, like, because the bigger music festivals, the reason why they're able to be so big is because they have multiple audiences, right? Like, Lala has, like, it's a alternative rock festival at its heart, right? So it has, like, those Gen Xers who are now like the most like have the most dispensable outcome out of any group of people, right? But it also has the crowd of people who just go to festivals like to get fucked up and party, right? And it seems like Summer Smash is kind of tailor made for that crowd, and like good on it. Like they need somewhere to go to. Right? Like it's not a bad thing. Like it's a good fusion of like genre and audience. They're certainly successful for a reason. But it's just like I'm a 31-year-old dude, man, and like
it was tough. Not acting old.
Yeah, no, it was tough. And like it's just not my vibe, right? Like and yeah, I it's weird like when you go to these things like yearly for a little bit. Right, you feel like you have a relationship with it. And I'm like at the point, like with Riot Fest, where I'm gonna go every year, regardless of how I feel about who's opening, right, or who's like playing. I go there for the fest. I would certainly never bat an eye at getting a ticket to Summer Smash to see someone I really want to see, because I really like the presentation. The crowd's manageable, like to exist and see a show.
You can avoid it.
It wasn't like it didn't sully the experience for me, but it's also like not made for me very visibly. Right. And like, look, there was one set where we looked around and we're like, oh, we're kind of the same age as everyone here.
And it's literally because like we were in a certain section.
It was because we were it was a certain section. I think it was also a certain artist. Like,
yes,
yeah, that is certainly an artist that played to an older crowd more than everyone else there.
Which just makes sense.
I don't know if more, but definitely on the level.
Yeah, definitely.
Compared to the other people.
Compared to like Uzi, who like I liked more. Sure. I liked Uzi more than Future. But Future definitely has an older audience. I think that was
100%.
Yeah.
But I think I'm surprised at Cudi too. Because like
I know Cudi has a huge crossover generationally. Like
he does, yeah.
There were plenty of people like our age at Cudi, but there was a lot of like young ragers. And that was the other thing, right? Like Cudi's a perfect example because like, yeah, there were moments that were like great. But like a literal fight happened at Cudi.
Two.
Like literal multiple fights, right?
Like actual like a fight happened.
And when we get to day 2, like we'll get to like maybe an artist kind of maybe called out the issue I think I have with this kind of crowd. But it's like but yeah, no, it's people who just go to these festivals to rage, you know. And like look, that's fine. Like we should not like shun people for doing that. People have been going to music festivals for that reason since the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also just not my crowd. And it's also very young. It's very aggressive. And like, it was just not a vibe I like really, it felt like I had to deal with it. Not like when I go to like Riot Fest or My House where it's like, oh, this is like my space where it's like, I feel super comfortable being here, you know?
Mm-hmm. I think that was like one of the first things I noticed on day one because like, I'll say I'm 26. I'm not like old, but like I literally felt old being there. Just because like everyone else in how they act and portrayed and like handled themselves.
Yeah.
I think it was the most impactful on day one for me, actually realizing that, one, because it's the first time that you're getting that open exposure. And like 2, I was actually looking at the lineup. More people, and I don't know if you guys felt this way as well, but what I've heard and what I just like whether it be on social media or at the actual festival, people were the most upset with day one in the performances. And if you actually take a look at it, obviously Future is the most mature one, I think, out of everyone. But like Kid Cudi has a mixture with the more calm crowd.
Yeah.
Vince Staples is extremely calm.
Yeah, he's like, yeah.
Suicide Boys is like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
So it just feels, and even Glorilla, who I think was one of the most surprising acts that I saw.
Probably the most surprising act of the weekend.
Absolutely.
When we get to, are we getting into day 1 officially?
Sure. Let's just get into day 1.
Let's get into day 1. Let's keep this moving.
What we had, and just give you a quick lineup. We first went to go see Freddie Gibbs. We saw Glorilla. We saw Vince Staples, and we saw Kid Cudi to end the night. So starting off with Freddie Gibbs, how did you guys feel? Well, that was my first time seeing him live personally.
Yeah. So it was a very similar show to like when I saw him last year at the Metro. Freddie has like an incredible vibe on stage, and I think he brought it really well to Summer Smash.
Mm-hmm.
But I think more than anyone else booked the entire weekend, I think Freddie Gibbs was put against type, kind of. He is the biggest outlier, I think, in like because this isn't a strict hip hop festival, right? This is, you know, it kind of feels like someone like a J. Cole would be as out of place as someone like the White Stripes. Like, and it's, yeah. And I think Freddie Gibbs kind of falls more into the I don't want to say like mature adult rap, but like, you know, the more
it is mature.
No, I would agree.
The
with
hardcore,
that, yeah.
the hardcore hip hop lane with like the Griseldas and the Run the Jewels, and all that. You know, like the hardcore, you know, the Pusha T lane. You know, look, we all talked about how much we would have liked Pusha T to have been there, but like, is he really like? I think that's kind of a stretch too. You know.
No, yeah, I think it'll be less of a stretch than Freddie Gibbs, but I do.
I'll give you that. Like, I'll give you that.
Yeah, I agree.
He's a lot more popular just in general.
Exactly.
But I thought he gave a great performance. It was awesome seeing him just hang out the rest of the day.
He was very
easy to spot.
I feel like he was intoxicated
Yeah,
just like
totally.
Yeah, 100%.
Obviously, like most of these artists are, even though like I feel like the headliners may not be that much because they actually had to like perform for so many people. But like Freddie Gibbs was pretty messed up, and it was actually very entertaining to see because he was very friendly with the crowd, personable, talking to people. He talked about it. He brought his son out.
Yeah,
when they
that
opened.
was super cool.
He brought his son out.
He was
so
wearing a
super,
Blackhawks jersey in 90-degree heat.
They tried to make him stop at curfew like 4 times, and he just kept rapping.
It said Big Rabbit on the back. Very important.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I thought Freddie Gibbs was great. He was super early in the night, which doesn't like. It's kind of a bummer.
It was at like 4 p.m., right?
Very.
It was it was very early. Like, I don't know. Like, I see from my perspective, like I see Freddie Gibbs as like a bigger act than like Glorilla and all that, but like you just not at this festival.
Yeah, not at this festival.
But speaking of which, probably the biggest surprise of the weekend. Glorilla. Honestly, because like we've listened to her music for the show. Yeah, no, she was one of my favorites too. But I think in terms of like the shocker, I think
number one for me.
Number one, like
just because like I had no expectation going into it. I know like maybe 3 of her songs.
Yeah, and like we've listened to her music like when she's on like Don Toliver's project. We've listened to her about for other things. She's not my style, right? Like she's New York drill. She's, it's not. Yeah, I don't listen.
It's for the ladies. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I don't listen to the dudes in that subgenre. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know. I'll pop some smoke every once in a while.
Yeah, but
that's fair.
More than every once in a while.
But damn, this tiny ass girl came out,
bro,
and dominated, dude, with like these super.
I just wasn't ready.
Yeah, super intricate like dancers. Totally, like if you're watching this right now, Glorilla is a artist to watch. If she's at a show near you, she's a must see. Right? Absolutely.
She kicked people out.
Yeah.
You guys catch that?
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
Somebody like threw something and she like saw them and was like, get these 2.
Oh yeah, she did. Yeah. I saw that.
I wish we were that was the one thing. Like our seats were pretty incredible, but they were also like far away. And that was one I would have liked to have been closer for.
For that one, yeah.
Yeah, for that one. There's a few of them, but overall.
I mean, the thing is, I don't think anyone was ready because I ended up speechless.
Yeah, we did not.
Like,
yeah,
I
you're
looked
right.
at Brandon
throughout
the thing, and I was like, I couldn't even talk. My mouth, like my jaw, hit the ground. Yeah. Like I was just
because it was an artist that we literally only saw Glorilla because like one I think we were all kind of curious to see Ice Spice. Yeah. Like I think Ice Spice was someone we all wanted to see, and she didn't end up being able to perform. So I think Glorilla was like the closest to that. And
honestly, I think she would have been better. Glorilla would have been better than Ice Spice.
Oh, 100%.
There was a 100%. Every single like word.
Yeah.
She did a dance for every single word.
She was at 100% every single time.
It just every song, the way it built up, because obviously throughout a set you start getting to the more popular songs.
Yeah.
And so as the set grew like longer and it goes further, like I kept looking at you, just like I can't even say anything. And then she does her ending song, and like the music just stops, and like the crowd is screaming, like to the point where like I felt it, like where we were sitting.
Yeah,
and I was just like, I honestly started tearing up. I was just I'm so happy for her. Like this is amazing.
It was huge. It was huge. I spent all of Monday showing Rachel her music videos. Like, you have no idea how fucking incredible this girl was live.
I saw this live.
Yeah, you have no idea. She's like, this is not my usual music, but I gotta like it because I
was totally blown away.
Yeah, I was. Absolutely, like
also just like the size of the crowd. Like I didn't expect Glorilla to bring out a crowd like that. Yes. Yeah,
absolutely.
That was one of the first things you said because so many people were lining up. Just like, is this for her? Like, because I think we weren't sure if she
was late.
Going.
She was
like an hour late. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. We thought we missed her, so we was thinking like, who is this crowd for? And then she came out just like, Jesus Christ! Like, obviously it's for her.
Yeah, no, and
it was insane.
And the crowd was moving. She completely had control over it. Right? It was
insane.
It was nuts. It's going to be crazy seeing her. Absolutely, when she has like a bigger like presence, like a bigger like headliner or whatever, I want to be there. I want to see that.
Seeing her sell out a venue. Yeah.
Most interesting thing is what Jasper said to me, because I'm pretty sure throughout the actual show, you just turned to me and was just like, it's like a little Beyonce, and I was like, low key.
She was. Like, it was like a little Beyonce. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, a little Beyonce.
So. Absolutely.
Well, with the backup dancers, it reminded me of Destiny's Child. Yeah, because she had backup dancers. Everything was very choreographed. And I looked into it. I didn't see anything about a cheerleading background or like anything like that. Like,
you said that too, like gymnastics or something.
I was thinking like she's got to have some kind of background to like choreograph all this so tightly. But I did find out that she used to sing choir and then switched to rapping when she lost her voice. Like she lost her high. She lost her high register.
She does have a deep voice.
She does have a very deep voice.
And I think that helps because
because the deep voice.
It's definitely like it carries, right?
Yeah.
We'll get to that when we talk to another artist who I think their voice really carried in that stadium. But like, yeah, no, I could not say nicer things about Glorilla.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then we had the surprise
guest. So like Ice Spice couldn't make it. I think
I'm like, be honest with you. You guys left it off the sheet. I just put it in there.
I did.
Yeah.
I did leave it off the sheet.
Yeah, we forgot about it.
Because like I just saw the TV. I was pulling up the schedule and saw TBA and I was like, oh.
Yeah, completely forgot. But yeah, so Ice Spice wasn't able to be there. Unfortunate, because I think she was someone we were all kind of curious about.
Dude, I was dead. There were people with munch teas all weekend, and like she wasn't
serious?
there.
Yeah, dude, it must have.
I saw people with like there were four almost very late teens or adult men walking around with black shirts that had like thing 1, thing 2, thing 3, thing 4, but it was munch 1, munch 2, 3, and 4.
First off, they just wanted to get in that, and I salute them. Secondly, it must.
I'm not mad at them.
She had merch on sale. Like
she did. Yeah,
it was insane. And look, I gotta keep it real because like I remember last year there was a controversy, right? When Ice Spice, she released Munch and then she immediately was brought out at Rolling Loud, right? And everyone was like, this girl has one song. Like, did you expect her to be great when she performed live? Right? Because like she didn't do that great. And like we've seen a lot of growth from Ice Spice in the past year. And I was curious, like, what is this gonna look like? So I was bummed to not see it, but Little Yachty.
What a replacement.
We got something that I honestly like of someone who I don't really listen to super regularly. I was very happy. I was very happy. I was excited.
I'm super excited because he's one of the sub headliners at Lala this year. So I'm going to be seeing him again, and I'm wondering like how his set is going to differ.
That is an interesting point.
Seeing Broccoli live.
Oh,
fills a part of my soul I didn't know was vacant
so much.
Sing Poland live,
Poland too, but for me, Broccoli holds a special place, man. That like 2016, I love
Minnesota. Yep.
Yeah,
dude. Yeah, that's my favorite era of Yachty for sure. The Poland, Broccoli. That was one of my favorite songs to see throughout the entire weekend because like that is just one of my favorite songs. Like I wish Dram was there. I wish he brought out Dram.
That would have been.
Where is Dram now? I haven't heard anything.
I don't know,
about
dude.
him in a long time.
I definitely think of all rappers, I think he would be the one who likes to hang out with me the most. He seems very chill and would go see movies. But yeah, no, Yachty had amazing energy. Insane that they got someone with like the prestige he does in such a short notice. But him and Cole are
He's
tight.
a Summer Smash veteran, so it just kind of worked. He came out with his infamous walkout song, and he did that again.
Yeah.
You know, like the super famous video of him walking out, like dancing. That's at like one of the Summer Smash. It was
that's the second one, I think.
Yeah.
So it just worked.
I looked up Dram. First album, 2016, Atlantic and Empire. Second album, 2021. It took 5 years. It didn't chart at all.
Yeah.
And if he was on Atlantic and Empire, now he's not. The one that came out, there's one that came out in 2022 in November on a label called Waver. No charting. So I think he just like had a misstep, didn't put anything out for a long time, maybe got dropped and then signed to somebody else, somebody smaller.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I'm wishing for the best for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I liked Little Yachty. It was a hell of a show. It was kind of a shorter set, but it was fantastic.
Well, it's because he took so much time to hand out those goddamn water bottles.
Dude, that's the other thing, man. He did the bit where he did what was the song he did the water bottles for? Was it I Spy?
I don't even remember.
No, it wasn't I Spy. It was
a very upbeat song, and I couldn't recognize.
Seeing I Spy live too was also like one of my bucket list songs.
Yeah, And
I could have actually seen him bringing out Kyle for that. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dram not so much, but I could have seen Kyle being there.
I could see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of very funny and like kind of hard not to laugh at it in the moment, to be like, because he kept being like, I don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
And then he's
and
like,
he spent like
I'm
5
gonna
minutes
throwing out water bottles.
10 minutes handing out water bottles for a 1 minute, for a 20-second
video.
bit. Yeah.
It's gonna make a viral clip. Yeah.
Yeah.
They already posted it.
Yeah.
They did. Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah. So I was very happy to see Yachty. It was very fun.
Dude, he had to have been so warm with what he was wearing.
Yeah.
He was wearing like the full like long sleeves, long pants, like camo outfit. I was like, bro, stop.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Then
It's 90 degrees outside.
It was hot that entire
It
weekend.
was real hot. Yeah.
All right, so then we had Vince Staples. We were kind of running around for Vince Staples, so
yes,
we did not give it the full attention that we were able to give the last 3 artists we talked about.
Right.
But what I did see, I enjoyed. Yeah. What I did see, I enjoyed quite a bit. Like Vince kills it. He's another one though that I think is playing really against type there.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
that's
like,
actually what I was gonna say.
You know, and he has
most of the stuff he has is a little bit slower in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was
Yeah. So like, I thought he did a great job, but it just did not scratch my Vince Staples itch. I definitely feel like when he's touring, I want to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I really wanted to see Bag Back live, man.
Yeah, I really wanted to see 745, but
745 too. Yeah, and it's like
did, but we missed it.
Yeah, because we wanted
because
we wanted to get good seats for Cuddy, which I'm not upset about. You know,
yeah,
no,
Cuddy turned out to be a very controversial.
I'll make that deal.
Set, which is interesting to me because I thought it was very, very good, but if anything, a little boring. Right? I thought it was very typical. Like I thought it was exactly the songs he would play. You know, don't get me wrong. A lot of them are songs I really wanted to see live because I haven't seen them since the Passion Pain and Demon Slaying tour. But yeah, no, it just seemed like a very standard Cuddy set, and like he came out, he put his whole self into it, so I can't get too mad. But it's like, you know, I don't understand the strong hate.
I think it's just because like I feel like here's a hot take for you. I feel like the younger audience there thinks they know what Cuddy sounds like through artists that they actually listen to, like Kanye. So I think when people of that younger group hear Cuddy, they think like Father Stretch My Hands and like hype shit. And then when they hear actual Cuddy, there's like a cognitive dissonance moment because there were a lot of people leaving early who are like of that age group. I saw groups of people going past me.
Yeah.
And
more
I'll be honest, I think this was a weaker set than when Purvis, you and I saw him at United Center.
Totally agree.
I think he was super solid in doing New Mode. I think New Mode live was very cool. I don't think he needed to do a second song off of Intergalactic. I don't think he needed to do Angel. I think he also could have skipped Memories. I honestly don't like that song because it's a David Guetta song that happens to have Cuddy on it and not a Cuddy song. So it musically sounds nothing like him. And playing that and then Pursuit of Happiness back to back, it's like he closed out with dance tracks, and I think that was just kind of like
Look, here's the thing. I know he plays the Pursuit of Happiness remix every time.
And I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that at all.
I'm not mad at that at all, but I would like
the back to back of the two.
I totally agree. I'm building off that. I definitely would like at least once in my life to hear just regular like Pursuit of Happiness.
Well, that's when he did it, Passion Pain.
Yeah. Did he?
Yeah. It was so fucking loud. I remember. It was
like
so loud.
He's not in that like place anymore, basically.
True. Yeah. So technically, we have seen it. It was that was the highlight of that show for me, aside from obviously Father Stretch My Hands.
Yeah. No. So like, I don't know. I thought it was very standard. Like I thought Cuddy would be my favorite set from the weekend, and he wasn't. He's not even in the top 3. But like,
nope.
I wasn't. But I also can't say I was disappointed.
That's fair.
I wasn't disappointed. Yeah.
I can't say I was completely.
I was disappointed with the crowd for this show.
Sure. Definitely.
The people around us were super disrespectful. There was a lot of like jeering and bullshit.
A lot of jeering. The guy in front of me was like was fighting Molly and losing. Like,
I mean,
The girl behind me was. This is her favorite.
Falling over me, trying to take videos, and I like literally had to push her.
I'm low key salty about the way that crowd was. I don't think there was any respect there for what he does. And the thing is, I know from a reliable source who you both met that Cuddy was there specifically because the people who are more or less in charge of the music festival and put on the music festival really like Cuddy. They kind of did it for them. And you could tell it doesn't play to the demographic. Like it was one of those things where it was like the adults in the room made a decision, and then the crowd didn't really go for it.
It's crazy to me that we're at the point where like Kid Cudi is too.
I know it's insane, but you think about it, 2007 being the breakout hit, like that's a long time ago.
It's just like
that's what I was gonna get into because like don't get me wrong, it benefits us because we are all Kid Cudi fans, and we have had the luxury of knowing him and growing with him. Because if these kids grew up with a Man in the Moon, they would probably act like us, but they didn't.
Exactly.
That's the nature of the beast. So like, even if he gives a standard performance, which is what I think it was, I do think it was a little bit slower. It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit with what we were trying to do. And
because like once again, like it all comes down to like this is a festival made for like the festival rat, like the people who go there. Like I do think like a main driver of like the appeal of this festival is that it's the one tailor made to do drugs and rage at, like way more than any other one in the city. Besides maybe North Coast. Like
so, I just pulled up this set list for this. He played 18 songs, which it did not feel like.
He played a lot of songs like only part of the way through.
Yeah,
but like that seems to be pretty typical for hip hop shows, right?
It totally is. Yeah, I mean, the person who didn't do that is Cardi. Cardi went all the way through, which I'm always very surprised by, but it makes sense because he flows into one another with the guitar.
Yeah.
But I'm just gonna run through this real quick for like our listeners here. Open with Portia Topless, followed up with She Knows This, which is a banger, and the crowd was just like standing there. I'm surprised people were not moshing to She Knows This. Then he did Dive, which is actually how it goes on the album.
Extremely good.
3.
Yeah, extremely good.
Very good. Dive is underrated song, I think.
100% agree.
Then he did Revofev, which I like. I think this is where he started to lose a lot of the younger audience.
Yeah,
because that is an acquired taste.
You know what? This was a Lala set. Like that's what this really was. This
totally,
is where people
100%.
who want to stand in Grant Park and sing along.
100%.
Right?
And that was me. I was like singing along to everything, and people around me did not know the words. They were just kind of like sitting there waiting for something hype to like jump to. Then he did New Mode, which I think is a slow banger. Like it hits as a song, but like it's not the energy. Then he debuted Angel, first ever live performance of Angel.
Wow.
Cool song, wrong venue. I'm sorry.
Wrong venue.
Extremely
I even liked the performance because I like that song a
too.
lot. I think that was one of the better songs that Intergalactic.
Yeah,
the girls behind us was screaming that song. Jesus Christ!
True, that's true. I remember that.
But
Where'd
they were
you come
also
from?
older.
Yeah,
she was screaming that song.
that was funny. And then he brought the energy back up with Just What I Am, which again, that's like one of his cult classics. And the people around me were not singing along. They just like didn't know the words.
That song goes so hard live.
Yep. And then Soundtrack to My Life, followed by Solo Dolo. Solo Dolo live is underrated. I love that song.
Yeah, no, I like
because he played Solo Dolo Part 3 when Purvis and I saw him. So we've seen 2 of the 3 now.
Glad to see the original.
I saw Solo Dolo 2 once, but not with Kendrick.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I saw him on the Indica tour, so naturally.
Yeah, there you go. Sky Might Fall, I think, was also a little out of place at this venue.
Man, and when you list these songs, it
hits.
Everything's making sense.
It sounds a lot. Yeah, it like
everything makes sense. What happened for a reason.
Yeah, you're right, but also like it kind of like I'm like, man, I like a lot of these songs. Like these songs are all really good. Like maybe I like this set more than I thought.
This is true.
Yeah,
it's a good set. It's a good set. And then he followed up Sky Might Fall with Heart of a Lion,
which I love.
And then that went into Ghost, which he did last time too. Ghost is like another one of his classics.
Yeah,
but no one knew Ghost around me.
Yeah.
No one knew Ghost.
I was singing along. Nobody else was. Yeah. And then he did Mr. Rager. Mr. Rager, people know.
Yeah,
and he did the call and response thing where the crowd sings the actual like "Tell Me Where You're Going," and then the actual backing comes in for "I'm Off on the Adventure." Yeah. Then he did the prayer, which he did on our tour when we saw him.
I cried last time. Didn't cry this time.
No.
And then he did the Scots with a lot of build up.
He really wanted everyone to think Travis Scott was going to be there.
Dude, I thought Travis was coming out.
If Travis was coming out, we would have died.
Bro.
We would have died.
He was farming that, dude. I think.
Okay, but there was a second because even I looked at you and you was like, I don't know.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. I think he was like really like wanted
Man,
it seemed almost intentional that he wanted people to think Travis was about to come out.
Dude, I would kill to see through the Late Night Live. Yeah, honestly, I love that song.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. And like that I did not appreciate because like one, I think you should never ever ever like hold an artist not coming out against an artist. Like I think that's a really bizarre standard.
Yeah, no, that's fine. No.
But this is like you are really leaning on this.
Dude, that happened to me. That happened to me when I saw Justin Timberlake at Formula One. He played the intro to Magna Carta Holy Grail and then just went into another song when the Jay-Z part was going to come on. I was like, you piece of shit.
Did you really think Jay-Z was going to be at Formula One?
It's an international motorsport event. I could totally see Jay-Z being at Formula One. They had
actually, there was a ton of people at Florida at the event.
They had fucking will.i.am conduct the symphony for the other one. If will.i.am is a conductor for a symphony in Florida, Jay-Z can show up to headline.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Back to the list. After the Scots was Surfin', another one that nobody knew the words to.
Nope. Yeah.
I like that song. I really wish he did more Passion, Pain, Demon Slaying songs in general. Seeing Kitchen live as part of his original set was fire. I really like that song, and I wish he would have done that live again. Then he did Memories, David Guetta, which, and then Pursuit of Happiness, Steve Aoki remix.
Okay. I have a very quick question then.
Yeah, and then we'll move on to day 2.
Yeah, and then we can move on to day 2.
Mm-hmm.
Genuinely curious in your honest opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at this lineup and looking at this or the set list for this for Kid Cudi's performance, I'm just gonna say I'm gonna speak for myself. I like old Kid Cudi more than new Kid Cudi. I'm not gonna lie, and I think he is significantly better pre Passion, Pain, and Demon Slaying.
I would cut.
I'm not saying he's bad.
Satellite Flight.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not saying the new stuff is bad. That's not what I'm trying to like get across.
Yeah.
The fact he did a lot of new things, like a lot of new music. I mean, if you look at the set list, that's a good significant part of it coming from newer albums.
Yeah, I'd say it's about half. It's about half and half.
Yeah, it's about half and half. I thought it was a pretty even mix, to be honest.
I mean, I guess we discussed it before. I just feel like it didn't fit. It just didn't fit.
I totally get the didn't fit. I totally get the didn't fit. Like I totally.
This is a great set list in a vacuum. As part of this festival, it doesn't fit.
Yeah, no, it was a lot
like,
for people.
Like in a vacuum, the majority of these songs are classics, and like they deserve it. And a lot of them that aren't classics are still super solid, just like nice little tracks.
Yeah, but I also want to give him credit for like, leaving it all on the stage. I think that's true. Pretty much everyone we saw, and for stringing it all together well, at least in my opinion. But yeah, no. All right. Do we want to move on to day 2?
Yeah,
let's do it.
All right. So, day 2, big thing. We saw Nardwuar.
Who do we meet?
We met Nardwuar. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's been.
And we don't mean saw like we waved to him.
No, we talked to Nardwuar.
He had a full conversation.
He said he was going to check out the Oh Boy interview. Like, who knows? But like, we saw Nardwuar. It's interesting. Nardwuar's posting all the videos from Summer Smash, and it's like, oh, I know those gates. Oh, I know. Like,
I know
where that is. I remember somebody walk through those gates.
I remember walking past that suite and seeing several armed guards. Like, So real talk. Like I think something we do on this podcast I really like is we put the music forward, right? But obviously, like the content creators around the music are super important to us because that's how we got here. Mm-hmm. So being able to meet Nardwuar, that was cool. That was like a bucket list thing, So I did not. That was not on the list of people I thought I would meet.
No, that was like a wild random encounter.
Yeah, no, I didn't even know he was gonna be at the venue. And plus, at the time, Brandon, you had said something to throw me off completely. He was like, "When's the last time we worked together?" And I was like, "Dude, don't do that." Like I was already in like a weird headspace, and then you come back from the room, you're just like, dude is right there. Like, bro,
I knew he was gonna be there. I didn't know he was gonna be in that close proximity to us.
Yeah, so it was cool. We basically were passing Nardwuar the entire weekend. Like it was very fun.
He got his interview with Uzi. We basically were right there.
Yeah.
I brought him food.
Yeah.
There you go.
So yeah, no, getting to meet Nardwuar was fantastic. And day 2, I'm gonna say it, best day.
Yes.
Yeah, best day for me. So we saw a long performance. Yeah. So the first 3 I was kind of mid on. But the last 3 I was like, fuck. I really
Christ.
Yeah. So we started off with Maddox.
Okay. Jasper, you brought us to Maddox.
You brought us
I did bring you to Maddox.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
Maddox.
You gotta admit, like, yeah, it's not the most interesting stuff, but he knows how to power up a crowd. And he put on a great show.
Yeah, he put all his skill points in stage presence. I'll say that. Like like
I saw a girl get lost. Like there were 2 girls trying to leave while the mosh pit was still open.
Yeah.
And like one was through and the other one just like lost, and she just turned around. She's just like, she's dead.
So that experience, the way that crowd was, is how I strive, like how I would love to see the energy level of like every crowd at one of these things.
Yeah,
like that's how I felt inside about Cuddy, but at the same time, it just like was not the vibe for that crowd.
Yeah. But like, you know, I think Maddox just like he makes the music that crowd. He makes the music that like you just and like, you know,
he's also
you take
and he's also
Molly and just rage to.
You don't think about anything. And you don't even know music's going on.
Demographic wise,
you can't even think through Freddie Gibbs's cocaine bars in that state. Right? No. Like
and he's 18 now.
Yeah.
So like he is the perfect like you can talk the whole like parasocial relationship thing for like a lot of people in that like the age group for this concert. He's like a peer in a sense in that way.
Yeah, no, he totally is. It's just like it's just that he's a Cardi clone, and it's just
I don't know, dude. I was just so excited to see Money live. Like that's something that like is rare. I think is seeing songs that are from artists who have passed and seeing them live through like somebody who was featured. That's not something you see every day, and I thought that was really cool.
No. Something I will say, and I guess this is like the first thing that's close to a bummer that I had, and it comes up with T Grizzly, is there was a lot of covering other artists' songs, you know.
Yeah,
and
he
like,
definitely had the most.
Yeah, he had the most. Matt Ox had a couple. Famous Dex had a couple. A few others throughout the weekend did. And you know, we mentioned it with the DJs where they were all playing like the same 6 songs the entire weekend.
Yep.
I said to both of you, I said someone needs to actually fucking bring out Chief Keef, because if I hear Love So one more time, it was like 6 times in 3 days I heard it at least.
So
probably more, to be honest.
That was one of the things I really enjoy about music festivals is like the process of discovery. One of the best sets I've ever seen was this artist Billy Strings. He's a bluegrass musician. I don't fucking listen to bluegrass. I don't get recommended bluegrass because I don't listen to the mainstream country shit, right? So like there's no avenue in this algorithmically generated musical world for me to be exposed to someone like Billy Strings. But I can be when he's just on the set list before Metallica, you know, which I would say is as different from bluegrass as hip hop is, right? Like that feeling of musical discovery, I really enjoy about festivals. They lead to some of my favorite experiences of all time, and that was just like the factor that was very low here. It felt like a lot of just like the same type of artists over and over again, and like
it's intentional.
100%. But like you know, I'm not going to take you to a vegetarian restaurant when you say like, oh, I would have liked meat with that. Been like, well, it's intentional, you know, like. You see what I mean?
It's
like,
just, I don't like the vegetarian restaurant. It's
like, yeah, right. Like that's exactly like the metaphor I would use, right?
Yeah.
So that was just, and with T Grizzly and Famous Dex, I just felt like that was the most obvious. Honestly, way more than Maddox. Like Maddox at least sounded like of the moment, in that the moment is dominated by Cardi clones. Like,
well, the thing is, Maddox arguably it is like a Cardi contemporary in a weird way, because
doesn't sound like it.
I know he doesn't now, but like when he first came out, it was like 2018, which is like when Cardi was starting to pick up as well, which is just weird to me that it's like Cardi is that dominant that like the sound, like people have gravitated who are still like in the scene at the same time.
I don't know. I just feel like there's like a very high demand for that sound because it's very good to jump on up and down on Molly on.
Yes.
And like once again, I think Maddox is one of those people where if Cardi dropped every year, like who would be listening?
Yeah, that's fair.
You know, and like the only one who I see that has differentiated themselves at all is like Ken Carson and Jaleel a little bit. And even them. You know,
even Ken Carson's pretty derivative, I think.
Even Ken Carson's pretty derivative. I think Yeat's pretty derivative. I think he's done a good job of just like being Playboi Carti even more. Yeah, and his own brand, all the stuff outside the music, for sure. But like, you know, all this stuff sounds the same to me. Like, and like, I also think me and Purvis talked about this a little bit. It seems interesting because it seems like this rage subgenre is like almost like the new SoundCloud music. But think about SoundCloud for a second. Like the creative diversity between someone like Lil Uzi Vert and like Juice WRLD and like Denzel Curry is like worlds larger than like the creative differences between like Maddox and Playboi Carti and Yeats.
I'm not gonna lie, I disagree. I feel like Yeat, just maybe because I listen to them a lot, but Yeat and Playboi Carti to me have very separate sounds.
I don't know. They seem very much like I'll give you that Yeat is done the best, like differentiating himself from Carti.
I would say there's zero like metalcore to Yeat at all. It's like
sure, but there's also like the general like song structure. There's the overall philosophy of just like really putting all your energy into like the energy of it and like. You know,
I don't know because lyrically, like stylistically, they're so different in their delivery too.
I think they're all.
I was gonna say Yeat is the one person I'll disagree with you on, and I think it's just because you don't listen to him.
I mean, I've listened to like 2 albums at this point. Do I not get an opinion? Like,
no, you get an opinion, obviously, but it's just one of those things where like
I'm just saying, like
I don't know.
It's a difference between saying like I don't like country and then like comparing 2 country artists. It just doesn't work as much.
I mean, I don't think so, and I think you guys are just like in it, and you can't.
It's falling on deaf ears.
What does that mean?
Like you're listening to it, but you're not. You don't care. You don't actually listen to the structure.
Well, because like it doesn't bring anything out for me. Like you know,
which is
like,
fine,
yeah,
right?
Like,
that's what I'm saying.
It's just, but like to me, like it does seem like you're right. Like aesthetically, sonically, you know, it does seem it. No, it seems different. You know, like that's where, you know, there's a metalcore like 7-string guitar element to like Carti, you know, and that isn't what Yeat. Yeat's a lot more industrial, but that evanescence of like. I don't think any of them are artists you would describe as lyrical. You know, maybe Carti a little bit more in the Die-Lit era. But, you know, I think like that overemphasis on like energy and almost using your voice like an instrument and not as like a device for lyrics and storytelling. I think that's the overall similarity that all these artists adhere to a lot. And the other thing is that like I think this is a pretty common sentiment. Like I talked to a few people this weekend who were like, yeah, I'm not into the Carti clones. Like, I think a lot of people perceive them this way.
That's fair.
You know, like...
I could see the vocal component being seen that way. It's just that, like, Carti's delivery is, like, so much more aggressive, whereas Yeat is very much laid back on a lot of tracks, I feel. And like, I don't think Carti has anything that sounds like slower Yeat songs. And it's just, like, to me, there's a big difference there sonically.
Yeah, I think 99% of people would disagree. Like, I think most people hear these and it's just like, you know, it's this, I think it's just a very insular, like, subgenre.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know, but let's get to the string of 3 we saw at the main stage of Lyrical Lemonade. We saw G Herbo, Lil Uzi Vert, and Future. G Herbo was a lot of fun. He brought out a lot of local artists.
Yes.
And I think he voiced a lot of what we were feeling about the festival, fully enjoying it at this point, you know, about like the crowd. Cause like, you know, G Herbo's like kind of like upbeat and hype, but he's not Carti. It's not Uzi.
A Chicago rapper from the South Side rapping about very specific things.
Yeah,
you don't mosh to this.
Yeah, you don't mosh to G Herbo, and like he called out the crowd. He like was like, "Why are you? Why are you moshing?" And he had to stop the set like more.
It was like 6 times.
Like 6 times more than Cardi had to. Like,
which is insane.
Yeah.
It was during the day, like the sun was out,
and it's
G Herbo.
Yeah, and it's G Herbo, right? Like, I don't give anyone any shit for moshing to Little Uzi Vert. That's mosh music,
right?
But like,
it makes sense,
but like,
it doesn't here.
Yeah, and it just, I think it goes to like, oh, I kind of, on one end, it's like, would I even go to this festival if they did this? But it's like, I kind of want them to just focus down on like those artists that provide like that. What the crowd is looking for.
Okay.
You know? Because like,
are you saying like remove some of the pieces, or
no, just like not remove, but just like maybe you don't have G Herbo, maybe you have a Yeet, maybe you don't have Kid Cudi, maybe you have.
Well, that's what I mean. Like remove those performances.
Yeah, remove. Yeah, just like swap that out. You know, and it sucks because those were the artists I really enjoyed throughout the weekend. Well, besides Uzi, but
I think that would be kind of the opposite of their growth model, though, because I think they want to do what Lala does, where they
I would love
a more
that.
diverse audience.
I would love if they did that. If that is their like MO,
I think it is, because like
I'm into it.
Like the growth model, you have to have a diverse range. You got to have people who actually are like spenders to pay for things like VIP and pay for.
Yeah, you can't have just like one crowd come out.
Yeah,
because like what happens when the sea changes, right?
And I think that's why Kid Cudi and Future were 2 of the 3 headliners, and then they were like, you know what, fine, we'll give you Cardi for the kids. Like that's like
Cardi. Yeah, I would definitely say, look, as someone who's not the least big Cardi fan on this thing, I think he deserves a headlining spot.
Oh, 100%. But I'm saying it's like they
totally
strategically chose the other headliners to try and draw in an older crowd, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think they have their work cut out for them, but I like that idea. You know, like, so if they want to double down on that, cool. I think that would certainly make me more likely to go to this festival because it's going to be completely dependent on the lineup. And yeah,
it's very possible because we actually talked about that during the week in the VIP section. It was mostly just adults because they can afford to not be around all the kids.
Yeah.
And also just like looking at the lineup, I would pay maybe $50 for a one day. Not a $50, but like I'll pay $100 for like a one day and go see that one artist at 9 p.m. if they had the big acts trying to diversify.
Yeah, I would do that, and that's what I do at Lala. I mean, I don't because like Jeff gets me in. But like, or I stormed the fences like I did in 2014 through 16. But I, I definitely would. That's kind of like where I am with Summer Smash. Like I would totally like never bat an eye at going if there was artists I would want to see, But the question is like, it's a fairly young festival, and in that way, it's exciting because it's very successful at the same time. So it's going to grow. The question is how, and if Jasper's correct, then I think this could evolve into like becoming like a really dope staple. I think we talked about it. I think the kind of artist that if they want to go in that direction that they need is someone like a Chance the Rapper. The guy can still sell out the United Center, after dropping one of the worst albums of all time and dipping for 3 years. Like, I think that's the kind of artist.
Dipping for 3 years, then putting out one of the worst albums of all time, then dipping for another 4 years.
That's not true. He put out like a shit ton of EP, like a shit ton of songs the year before the big day, and they were actually really good.
The singles were good.
Yeah, the singles
like Hot Shower and all of them.
No.
He like put out like 6 singles that weren't on the big day.
Oh, like Security or whatever.
Yeah, I Need Security, 65th and Ingleside.
Fair. I mean that's fair. But
and like 6 singles is a lot.
He'd been gone for 2 years prior to that, though. 2016 to 2018 was dry.
That didn't. When did Coloring Day drop? Did that not drop?
It dropped in March of 2016.
Yeah, and then he did.
May of 2016.
Yeah, and then he did Coloring Day 2016, and then he.
No, I know he went on tour. Yeah. I mean that's to be expected. But I mean, as far as material and like studio releases, like if you don't live in Chicago, that's not like of consequence to you.
Sure, but like 2 years between releases is not a big deal. Like
no, I agree with you. It's not, but I mean, for as someone who doesn't really like go out and listen to singles actively as much, for me it feels like longer. I guess I didn't really, and I still don't. Like Uzi played a lot of singles. I didn't know some of those songs.
Did play a lot of singles. So should we get into Uzi then?
Let's get to Uzi. Spoiler alert: my best show of the weekend, I would say.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, this was.
I think it was.
This was the best show of the weekend. I like Little Uzi Vert. I'm not the biggest fan of Little Uzi Vert. At the he was always one of my favorite SoundCloud artists from that era. Absolutely thrilled to see him live.
Yes.
I said this to Purvis walking like on the ride home. Like this, I would buy a ticket to see him on tour tomorrow. Like
if he's touring the Pink Tape, we're going. I'm sorry
because
you don't have a choice.
I do think because I do think like his set. I think he's the kind of artist that is just like has the work to like get through this easily. But like he had a set that was for the Summer Smash crowd, right? But he has a lot of other songs. He totally could have like, done a lot more of like Eternal Atake and like the slower shit that he has done throughout like the entire career. So like, I would be interested to see like what a full like when Uzi doesn't have to fit into like an hour set list. What does that feel like, right? And that was the other thing is about Summer Smash. I think they did a good job scheduling a lot of artists, but the set lists were short.
The set lists were short.
Like the headliners at Lolla play for 2 hours, and it's like, when you get that, like when you get that level of stage in a 2-hour performance, that's how you get like something iconic.
I do remember the first day, like we were just getting there, we were gonna go get food, and I was like, "Oh, Jalil's about to start," and I heard him.
Yeah.
And like before we even got our food, his set was over, and I was like,
"Yeah, it was like 15 minutes, right?" Don't get me wrong. Like I think they put like they sequenced the schedule like well enough that it wasn't really that big of a problem, right? But I just it was shorter sets than I'm used to. But Uzi killed it, just completely and totally. He did what looked like several backflips.
Superstar.
Yeah, he's a superstar.
Several flips into the crowd.
Yeah,
he even stopped the music to check on somebody.
Yeah, he seemed super concerned. More than anyone else that weekend, he seemed the most concerned with crowd safety. Right, absolutely. Which is always a nice thing to see. Besides Glorilla, Little Uzi is the next person where it's like, if you get a chance to see Little Uzi, you should.
Yeah, absolutely.
There are two things about his performance that I'm disappointed by, neither of which are like his fault or anything. I don't like that on Setlist FM, they credit Woke Up Like This as a Playboi Carti cover, like he did a cover. Because arguably he's more than half of that song. Like, he does the verses on that fucking song. So I think that's stupid. Second, I'm disappointed he did New Patek and not Patek, the Future one. Because Future was on Next anyway. And that's like a cool song for, like, I like that song a lot.
Yeah, that's a good song.
Yeah, and then
enough, I feel like they were doing that on purpose because like there weren't a lot of guests.
There was not a lot of
guests. No, there were not a lot of
guests. Only the local
G-Herbo, Lil Durk, yeah, like people like that had
Asur, who's like a very small artist, brought out someone like
right.
It was not very guest heavy. Which I guess brings us to the guy who's known for bringing out guests too.
I thought for sure Future was going to be the one to bring out a guest.
And he did not. And like
we knew Cudi was going to bring out Chip, though. I just want to put that out
there.
Cudi has a 100% hit rate of bringing out Chip.
He does. He does.
Valid.
But yeah, no, Uzi, potentially the show of the potentially the show of the festival, potentially the show of the summer, incredibly good.
Yeah.
But Future, I think, is maybe a little bit more interesting.
Future was my favorite personally.
Okay.
But I think Uzi's was the best. And to actually decipher between the two, because like I think Uzi is a full rock star, and it's just clear. Like he knows how to move the crowd and how to give a performance.
Yeah.
But in terms of like my favorite and actually seeing it, I went on a whole speech to you before, like when we went to the bathrooms before you started, and I was like, Brandon, I feel like we're about to see something we've never seen before. And like I made a whole thing about it.
I certainly had an experience with Future that I've never had before at a concert. Maybe never have will, and it's probably the reason why he eked into my top 3.
Dude, 31 songs over the course of an hour.
Wow.
Yeah.
While wearing a hoodie.
Yeah.
That motherfucker had the hood up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Literally.
And like the crowd was nowhere near as rowdy as it gets with Uzi, But it was massive. It was into it.
Dude.
It was the closest thing to like a sing-along set that actually worked the entire weekend, right? Yeah. Where you heard people just like, dude, when he did Bugatti, like the entire
the hype,
dude. That's a set list song for me. That's a
like everybody.
That's a bucket list song for me.
100%. For me, it was the bucket list ones were New Level and then Mask Off.
Yeah,
100%.
Mask Off.
Yeah,
it's funny because like all the songs are just like Jesus Christ, like.
That was
the
my
crowd's
thing,
going insane.
So
this song's a hit.
My experience was like, I'm not the biggest Future fan in the world. I liked his album he dropped last year, but I think he's good at hits. I think he's great, very charismatic on a song. But he's not really an album artist. You know, I like trap more than I like the rage kind of sound. Mm-hmm. But even trap was always like, oh, not exactly what I'm into, right? But throughout the entire set, I'm like, how did I know this many Future songs? Like that was the thing that was so unique. I'm like, how do I know the words to like 90% of the songs that this guy is playing when I do not consider myself a Future fan?
I mean, he did King's Dead, which has Kendrick on it, so that checks out.
I felt like I was one of the only people thinking King's Dead.
Dude, if he had done like Mr. Jones, I would have been on that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just one of those things, and it was a part of my speech before he went on. I was just like, at some point, you need to realize that, like, moments like these are very precious because, like, I feel like a lot of times we just, not necessarily go through the motions, but, like, we just go through life very quickly. You don't really, like, stop and, like, take a breath and actually, like, focus on what's going on. And I was saying, like, Future's just one of those people. Like, he's considered one of the biggest names.
He really is. And he really is, like,
one of the biggest names, period. Like, I'm not going to say J. Cole, Kendrick, and Drake, but, like, he's right there.
No, he's 100% up there. Like, in terms of, like, raw popularity, it's right? Insane. Like, look, I don't think he had, like, the most impressive crowd. That was Uzi. But his crowd was fucking massive. I thought it was going to be significantly...
went to the bathrooms.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be significantly smaller. It was not. Right? Yeah. So, Future had a chokehold on the crowd. It was... He had a shit ton of pyrotechnics. It was a great set. I don't know. I didn't feel like he was low energy, but maybe remembering it, like maybe he was a little bit more chill than some of the other artists.
You guys want to hear something wild?
Here we go.
Not that this actually matters in any meaningful way, but Future has far more monthly listeners than Playboi Carti.
How many?
Yeah, I would believe it.
Carti's at 32 million.
Yeah.
Future
50 something.
Future's at 52 million.
Yeah.
So it's a 20 million difference.
Makes sense. Yeah.
He's like there's like a certain level of like hip hop mainstream that is just like one. I think this is a theory I have proposed with Drake, and I think it was proven with Future at Summer Smash, and that is that he who controls the women controls the culture. Like if you have a dedicated crowd of female fans, that's going to be the difference between Playboi Carti and Future. That's going to be the difference between Playboi Carti and Big Sean. That's going to be the difference between because look, Uzi had like one of the biggest crowds I've ever seen, but it wasn't as big as Big Sean. It wasn't as big as J. Cole. But that's just because that's how those artists have ascended to those levels, you know?
Some of the biggest names in the game.
Yeah. So if you have a female audience, that's how you get there. Right. Yeah.
And the girls around us
were going crazy,
screaming.
Yeah, this was the most
word for word. Yeah, like I heard her more than Future.
Yeah, but it was a good vibe. Like I would say.
Oh yeah, I wasn't upset about it at all.
Besides, once again, maybe Uzi, best vibe of the weekend was Future. You know, it was the closest to like a chill sing along set that like anyone got to, and I thought he killed it. So.
Absolutely.
All right, shall we get to this final day?
Yes. Should we go through the lineup then?
Yeah, let's go through the lineup because we kind of already talked on the subjects that we have in the Google Doc.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we saw a lot on Sunday.
Sunday was our busiest day. We did a lot of moving.
Yeah, so we started out with seeing Asur. He's shout out PJ Gordon. He's a friend of mine. We ran into him. We all got introduced. We saw him perform. He opened up the main stage on Sunday. It was very fun. Killed it. He brought out dancers.
He gave out hats.
He gave out hats. Dude, Asur's entire vibe could be broken down with while he was playing. Purvis looked at me and just went, "People don't juke anymore." Like, like
that's so true. I was like, yeah, people don't juke anymore. It's just like no one knows what these dancers are doing.
Yeah. You two could have been the ones in the crowd doing that shit, but I saw both of you from when I was in the back.
Yeah.
I saw both of you leaning up on the fence like old men with like tired knees after 3 days.
Because I'm in my 30s.
I wanted to get away from the crowd that was there.
Yeah.
That was a small crowd.
Yeah, it was a small crowd. But like
I thought we were fine.
It was still like another one of my sleeper sets, right? Obviously, this is on a different scale of even Glorilla. You know, this is a local dude. We got to meet him. We got to talk to him. It was a lot of fun.
That helped a lot. Actually, being able to meet the artist and talk to him very briefly, like, it was a nice touch.
All right, now, Purvis,
I'm sorry.
I've been too critical. You got to do this one.
I will do this one. I'm sorry that I recommended we go see them. I just wanted to see what the hype was about. We ended up seeing Baby Tron. I don't know if you remember, but we did an episode for XXL last year. He was on.
It was the only artist we agreed about from the freshman.
It was like, I hate this.
Was like,
I don't like
awful. It. Like this is.
So like we went to.
But
go
there's
see
an
it live.
entire wave of people that sound like Babytron, right? Like,
there's an entire wave
that
sounds like
Michigan,
Babytron,
right?
And a lot of those people were actually on the third stage, which I was going to get into. But anyway, Babytron was on the main stage, middle of the day, kind of early-ish, but we decided to sit in the grass and actually listen to it. And this was the only set that we left. We actually just like...
We were waiting to go get food after Babytron, and we couldn't. We could not wait any longer.
I literally was like, I'm sorry, but I can't believe I'm saying this, but I want to leave. And that's how bad the set was.
He reminds me of like if Yellow Wolf did trap.
Yeah. But like,
I don't even know where to start,
dude. He's like,
like the music bad. He looked out of place.
It was the worst sounding.
The crowd didn't seem that hype. What really pissed me off was when we went to go get food and we left him halfway through his set. Someone in line was like, "Babytron is better than Kid Cudi," and I was like, "Bro, the set's still going on and you're not even over there. Obviously, it's not good."
Yeah, no, it's. We are firmly anti Babytron.
The music was. I'm pretty sure he did some sample of like an old soul song, and that's what drew the line for me. I was like, I need to leave.
No,
this is disrespectful.
I believe you.
I hate it.
All right. Wait,
real quick.
What's up?
Do you guys want to feel old?
Yes, sure.
Babytron was born in 2000.
Yeah, he's 23.
I know. Like, it's just wild to me.
He's what, 3 years younger than you? Like
3 years younger.
Yeah.
I hate this.
I mean, Matt Ox, like we said, is 18. That shit is crazy.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Insane. And here we are with our podcast. Anyway.
Yep.
One of the highlights of the weekend for me, Rico Nasty.
Same feeling for Glorilla. I felt for Rico Nasty. I just didn't know her music as much.
Yeah, no, that's totally true. And the other thing is that she had audio problems. That it was kind of like one of the worst of the weekend.
Really unfair.
And like once again, like I am judging Summer Smash based on this set, and I think if this is the worst, I think that they did a good job.
Yes.
When she opened her set, like the mic wasn't working, and she just screamed into the crowd. And it carried all the way to our seats. Like
that's insane.
She's a monster, right? And she goes out and she just she dominates for it. It was easily my second favorite set of the weekend. It was super cool because like when we were at the bar, I like turned around, I saw someone filming to my left, and I'm like, oh okay, I'm just gonna go to the right so I don't interrupt their shot. I turned around and Rico Nasty was right there. And I made eye contact and I was like, great set, and they were like, thank you. And I was like, sick. So like,
literally, I was standing at the exit as they were getting to the van, and she like walked right past. I just looked at her. And I was just like, "This is real."
Yeah. So
this is the thing.
Yeah. So that was a bucket list. Honestly, like I definitely put Uzi above it, but second favorite easily. The other one that's on the list of like next time they're on tour, I'm there. Come hell or high water. So absolutely loved it. big fan of Rico Nasty. And then we saw Lucky, who's a local rapper who I was unfamiliar with, and to be honest, unimpressed.
Man, fuck this guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
okay,
not for musical reasons.
Okay.
When I was running around doing my behind the scenes things, I tried to get in one of the gates that we got in earlier that day, and it got shut down because of a security issue with his group.
Oh, yes.
And I can't really say much more than that on stream, but
is that his fault? I guess
a little bit, yeah. We had to drive from the south entrance, the south staff entrance, whatever it was, all the way around through the parking lot, staff parking lot at the top, down,
come back down
behind through the channel area, and then to the stage. So it added an extra like 20 something minutes, and that's how I wound up missing like a significant chunk of Rico Nasty. Was it Rico Nasty? I missed a chunk of somebody because
I think it may have been Little Durk because it was after
Little Durk. Yeah, it was Little Durk.
Yeah, because it was after Trippie Redd.
Obnoxious, dude.
Yeah,
so frustrating.
The thing is, like, I know Lucky. I feel like the most out of all of us.
Yeah, definitely.
And I understood going into the performance that like he has a very like specific kind of vibe to him, and it is very heavily focused on drugs, so it just works in the context of the festival. But like I also know
it was also a lot slower.
Yes, it's very slow, but like that's like his drug is lean, so it just kind of makes sense.
Makes all sense.
But like the bad part is I believe he's doing better, and like he's no longer on heavy drugs. But like the fact that I've seen Lucky go from like someone that can perform to where he's at now. Like when I tell you, don't get me wrong, we said this. That was the best DJ the entire weekend. That DJ set that we were listening to.
Yeah, totally agree.
Every single song, we was like, damn, that's not Love Sosa. And that's a really good song.
Yeah.
So like the DJ was straight up carrying him. And like it got to the point where I was like, this is kind of disrespectful. Where he's just walking around stage. He wasn't even rapping. He was too out of breath to even like walk around and rap the song.
Yeah, it was one of the more
and throwing his hands up.
It was one of the more disappointing sets, right?
Yeah. It was a listening party.
Yeah.
That's essentially what it was.
And then from there we saw Trippie Redd in our last run towards the finale of the weekend.
Yes.
What did you guys think?
I'm not gonna lie. I wanted to see Trippie Redd really badly, honestly, and he for me was like the sleeper hit of possibly like obviously Glorilla and Rico are up there, but I would say he's like just under that as far as like the production and his stage design was just like super clean, simple. He sounded really good, like it was very clear. And we talked about audio production being like good throughout, but like his was really really nice, and it was just like. I don't know. I couldn't have asked for much more. I think out of a performance like that.
Yeah, I think I just think I'm like not as big of a fan.
Sure. Yeah, I like the instrumentation that comes with his style.
Yeah,
I don't know as much of his music like word for word like I do other artists, but I like his like kind of EDM or electronic inspired stuff a lot.
My thing is that like Trippie Redd, like it wasn't like bad. Like it was not by any stretch like the worst set I saw the weekend.
Yeah,
or like even a bad set. Period. But to me, it was just like a sleepier, kind of more boring version of Little Uzi.
And that's
I gotta.
If you're comparing to Little Uzi,
I gotta compare it, and like it doesn't help that 2 hours later I got someone else who I maybe listened to even less, and I still liked significantly more. Like
well, there was a certain level of intensity and energy there that was crazy.
Yeah. So I don't know. I would not call Trippie Redd disappointing because like I was kind of just along for the ride on Trippie Redd, but I wasn't also like I was kind of just along for the ride with Playboi Carti and I was into it, right? I just didn't have like that full thing with Trippie Redd, you know.
I think that's fair. He is one of those artists that kind of like you got to be in the know because like Jasper
was he the artist that had everyone like dressing like clowns?
No,
I don't think so.
Okay,
but I did notice that on.
There was
Sunday
a bunch of people who were dressed like clowns.
I don't think that was him.
If anything, it would have been for Playboi Carti.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, you definitely got to be in the know to enjoy Trippie Redd. There were a few moments, so I was like, oh, I actually know this song. This song actually does bang. So like, it was unique to have that experience and being a part of it. That is someone that I would want to see, that I wanted to see live, and so I'm glad I was able to experience it. But again, it's tough for him because in terms of what you want out of a concert like that goes beyond the lyrics and is more focused on the energy and what happens from it. And again, if you're comparing that to Lil Uzi and Playboy Cardi, that top of the line.
Which are like, which are the immediate comparisons though, when you're in the context that we are, you know?
So after Trippie Redd, we went to go see Lil Durk.
We didn't see, we only saw part of Lil Durk. I liked it a lot. This is I've probably seen like 3/4 of a Lil Durk set at this point. Between Lala, that got canceled last year because he broke something, and this set, which was on us, we were kind of like running around, but he brings a lot of energy, and man, did he bring a crowd. Hot take, it kind of looked like he had a bigger crowd than Cardi did.
Really?
I don't think so.
Like, I would not doubt, like, I would have said Cardi had the bigger crowd, like, beforehand, but just visually, to me, it appeared that, because like we were in like halfway through up the field for Cardi, and like it was very comfortable where we were.
The Cardi part, I think what's unfair, and it's not our fault or anything,
the storm,
because it was the storm. One, absolutely, that does play into it.
Yeah,
but two, our actual view. I think Playboy Cardi, Lil Yachty, and Kid Cudi were the only people we saw from a ground level, so it's a lot harder to kind of gauge the actual mass of the
yes, you're right, but like we know that it wasn't as far back as Uzi.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like we know that it was only up to that first gate where the control panel is, you know. And like granted, like his crowds are tightly packed, and like don't get me wrong, it was a great show, a great crowd, a great set. There was the appropriate amount of
ambulances.
The appropriate amount of ambulances.
The appropriate amount.
But I was stunned at how fucking massive the crowd was for Lil Durk.
Yeah.
Right. So I liked what I saw. Yeah.
Huh? I don't know why I have a bad habit. Maybe it's just not because it's my preferred subgenre of hip hop, but I have such a I don't understand Chicago hip hop. Like I didn't expect G Herb to be that big. I didn't expect Lil Durk to be that big. And it's just like I gotta be reminded, like, no, those are literally the stars of Chicago.
Right I know Lil Durk would be that big because I saw him last year and he had you know, a smaller crowd because he was on a smaller stage than he was at Summer Smash. But like it was pretty massive. Like it was impossible to see. Like
I mean, the fact that he got brought out at Donda, I think tells you everything you need to know. It's like that's the passing of the torch.
Yeah, like he's a huge figure for the culture, and like it seemed like he had the biggest, like one of the bigger crowds of the weekend. But then we get to like the au jour, you know, the artist that I think like willed Summer Smash into existence.
I was about to say it is the reason Summer Smash exists. Like, everyone's coming
for this.
Right? Everything wraps up. Everything about Summer Smash is within Playboy Cardi.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, Jasper, your experience.
I absolutely love the way I'm looking at the Setlist FM for this. Track 8, Mr. Rage, Trippie Redd cover, parentheses, show briefly paused due to crowd injury.
Yeah, there was a few pauses that had to happen.
Yeah. They should have had Trippie back out to be like, "You gonna die."
He like dipped immediately.
He dipped immediately.
He did. Yeah, he did.
I gotta be so. I was impressed with the set because I'm not a big Playboy Cardi fan, and the other thing is that like Playboy Cardi is combining like the elements of hip hop I'm not too into with like the elements of rock that I literally bounced off of so hard. That's the reason I am a fan of hip hop. Right, like when metalcore hit in like 2007, 2008, that was like I'm out. Like that was like I found Kid Cudi and Lupe Fiasco, and I. You know, because I was in the hardcore scene.
Shark Tank moment.
You know, I was in the hardcore scene for like a little, and even like through the metalcore years. But like from that moment, it was like this is no longer for me, right? So like looking past that, you know, the energy, the set design, the live instrumentation, and the way everything was mixed. This was a hell of a closer, dude. This was really fucking impressive. The one thing is that, like, I will give Cardi credit for a full set. I'm not giving him credit for an encore.
I don't think it was meant to be an encore.
That's fair. It wasn't?
No, it was supposed to be part of the set, and then what happened was, like, I guess he thought he was going to wrap up early due to like people getting hurt and like the crowd being, just pushy. Yeah. And then I think what happened was the crowd started to disperse a little bit. Like people started leaving thinking it was over. And then with that, it was like, all right, well, we've freed up a little bit of space. You go out and do your last like 3 songs because he was slotted for an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. It worked.
Yeah. And look, he did it. He did an hour. Like he started. And the other thing is that he started on time. Exactly. It wasn't like.
Which is rare for him.
Yeah. And his last song wrapped up at, I think, like 10:31 or something. Like he was there. Like, but yeah, no, he brought a shit ton of energy. He definitely is a unique sound.
Yes.
And he had.
I'm so glad I saw Shoot Alive. Yeah. I've been wanting to see that song live for such a long time.
Yeah.
He did play a lot of good classic songs.
Yeah.
Which, interesting enough, I guess, Brandon, one thing I wanted to touch on. You actually did say you like some of the, like one of the songs specific. You was like, I like this song, and
I think Cardi's cool. I don't think Cardi's like a hack or like lame. It's just not for me.
Listened to old Cardi?
Listen to like Die Lit is my main touch point for Cardi, right? Okay. Which like is cool, but like even that is like it's called Die Lit. Like it's not what I'm looking for. Like it's not like the diving head. Yeah.
You don't POV the crowd.
POV, you don't Millie Rock in New York.
No, I don't. Right. So like Cardi has just never really been my cup of tea. I've been listening to him since the Die Lit era, and I passed on Whole Lot Red. I never even finished it because like it's the genesis point for the Rage sound, but it's a genesis point for a sound I am very much not a fan of. Like, respectfully.
Do you at least understand why there's so many copycats?
Yeah, 100%. Like between like one, because it is like a very idiosyncratic and like iconic sound, right? It is 100% the kind of shit that's going to be copied, but one, I think like his sound is not as like, it's idiosyncratic. It's not like when Nirvana hit with grunge and it's like this is a new palette of sounds that you can do a bunch of different things with. That as I perceive it, right, I think a lot of his competitors, it's a very thin margin, right? Like there are differences. I'm not saying, you wouldn't be able to tell them apart from like a sight unseen to listen, but I'm just saying like I think the creative diversity is much lower than like pretty much any like level, like I think like a good comparison, it's going to sound very circle jerky, but like is Griselda. Yeah, like it's kind of hard to tell Benny the Butcher and Conway and the Machine apart the first few times you listen to it. But like when you actually sit down and you like look at the production and you see like the choices they're making, I feel like there is kind of like a bigger, breadth there than like the kind of shit you see like between Yeat and Playboy Carti. You know what I mean? And Yeat is probably the most different of them. He's probably Yeat is the argument for it being a genre, right? Like, but so that's like my thing. Like I saw it and I'm like, wow, this is certainly the originator. It reminded me a lot of like when I got really into Travis Scott for that period in 2018, where it was like, oh wow, this is why everything sounds like this now. But like once again, like, I don't think you would like it if everything started to sound like devil worshipping. Like I'm trying to think of a subgenre. I'm pretty sure if Scaring the Hose was so big that every artist you listen to sounded exactly like it, you'd probably feel similarly to how I feel.
Yeah, that's fair.
And you like that album way more than I like any of Playboy Carti's. Like, so like, look, I give him respect. He was one of my favorite sets of the weekend. Absolutely, just for like. I went in with an open mind. I'm like, what is this going to be like? He's obviously a very high in demand live artist. So I thought it was cool. And, my favorite sets are probably Little Uzi and then Rico and then either this or Future. And I'm kind of leaning towards Future just because like of the mind blowingness.
If I had to put 3, I'm going Future, Uzi, Glorilla. I think those are my top 3 for me.
Interesting. Yeah.
Jasper?
I would go Uzi, Cudi, Cardi.
Ooh, interesting. That's interesting because I feel like I'm a big Cudi set defender right now, and I would put Cardi above Cudi just because I thought like it was certainly unique. Like
no, it's unique, but they're both artists who I've seen before, and I think Cudi just brought a lot more to the table in terms of like the songs that he picked, and like a little more diversity.
Oh, that's totally fair.
Because when I saw Cardi at UIC, because he played the Flame, whatever it's called, the UIC Pavilion, where the Flames are. That show, he did like over an hour, and he did pretty much exclusively Whole Lotta Red, except for like a couple songs. And I don't know, I didn't love like all the choices made here. Like obviously Off the Grid, like you gotta have it. Yeah. R.I.P. Fredo, didn't love that edition. Didn't love like New Neon necessarily. Just like I don't think that's a song that would fit in an encore for somebody as energetic as Cardi, because that's not an energy song at all. And I think if he wanted to have a song in there to calm the crowd down, he should have done Control, which I think is like a really good song. I really like that one. Yeah. But that's just me being like nitpicky. I mean, it was still like very par for the course for like what he does. I just think that like the Cudi set had more variety to it, and I appreciate that.
I'll definitely give you that. Now it's kind of hard because like even with Uzi, who like I like and like knew was one of the ones I'm more excited about going into it. Mm-hmm. You know, it's almost like an ink blot test because I'm not so familiar with their music that I know exactly what it's going to sound like, be like.
I gotta say, shout out to me. I called Of Course We Ghetto Flowers was going to be performed, and it was. And that's not even one of his like main hits anymore.
That's valid.
But yeah, that wraps up our experience at Summer Smash. So, closing thoughts, like did you enjoy this weekend? Then maybe a quick game, and then we'll do our recommendations and get out of here.
No, I really enjoyed the weekend, to be honest. It was my first full 3-day festival.
Yeah.
I would do it again. The venue, decent. The lineup, decent. I would give it like a B+.
I'm probably falling on a B too. You know, on one end, like there's a very alienating feeling for me because it's like I feel like I'm so out of my depth, right? Like there's a level of uncomfortableness that like I only feel a little bit of at Lala and not at all at Riot Fest or My House. But you know, I think the sets were incredible. I would never ever balk at going to this for like a specific artist.
Yeah.
I just don't think like we'll probably be going every year now because we're a hip hop show and it's a hip hop festival in our city. But like, I don't think it would ever be a show that like if they just had a bunch of artists that I was just kind of met on, I would spend $350 on to just spend the weekend, right?
You're right.
Like, and there are festivals I would do that for. Yeah,
that's why I've never been to Lala.
Yeah, I just think like it's a little, you know, at least with Lala, it's 4 days.
That's true. There's never been enough in the lineup for me to justify.
Yeah.
Like there's maybe like one or two, but I'm not going to drop that kind of money for like.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Person,
totally.
You know.
Totally. And like to me, I think the thing I like about Lala is just like like how much different kind of music there is. You know, being able to go from seeing someone like a, you know, Billy Strings to seeing someone like a Denzel Curry. You know, and the other thing is that I think it refreshes you throughout the day. I think like hearing bass knockers all day, I know my ears hurt the next day and I was wearing protection for the first time ever. I definitely think like there's something revitalizing about like being able to see artists that are in different genres, in different vibes, you know, definitely cultivating different things. And like, look, obviously like there's, you know, another side to that. You know, I was lucky enough to see Janelle Monáe and Childish Gambino right after each other. But I also had to sit and listen to NF while I did it. So like, you know, there's a double side to it all. But yeah, so that's where I lay on it. I would absolutely like, I'm excited to see where it goes in the future. I would never miss it if there was an artist I like going there, but it's a vibe that is not specifically for me. And the venue, I think they did a great job with it, but I think was kind of like good, not great.
I would agree. I would say B for me just because like the venue I didn't mind at all, but like accessibility was kind of an issue. The lineup was not entirely like most of the people there I didn't have like a lot of or even any pre-existing familiarity with. Like there were probably like maybe 7 or 8 names of the entire lineup where I was like, oh yeah, I know that person. But it was just one of those things where I think if it continues to expand and diversify the way we talked about, I think it could be much more compelling going forward if they have more mature artists.
I agree 100%. Like if this is like this, I think they have 2 routes forward. They either go that way, in which case I'm extremely excited. I think it'd easily become like one of my favorite festivals.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the other way is that they just like hyper focus on what they already are doing very good on, which is appealing to like a specific crowd that I think is at every festival to a certain extent. Just like,
Definitely.
It's easily 50-60% of Lala. It's maybe 40% of my house, maybe 15% of Riot Fest, but like that demographic is everywhere, and it just seems like this is catered for it. So which direction they're going to go, who knows? But I know I will be there if there is an artist I like.
Well,
yeah.
Should we do recommendations? Are we doing recommendations?
I'm doing the same 2 from last week because we lost.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, I'm going to just do the same 2 from last week so you guys know which ones they are. But yeah, let's do that and we can get out of here because like this was
it's a little late.
It's a little late.
Long
yeah.
one.
It's a long one, but we went to a whole ass festival.
It was 3 days to cover.
Right, it was a whole ass festival. It was an insane experience. I'm honestly shocked that this doesn't have a 3 in it. Like, like.
Mm-hmm. All right.
All right. So, who wants to start?
No matter.
Okay, I'll start because it's a song. It's an artist that we've actually talked about today. One of the seminal artists of our life. One of their biggest hits, fueled exclusively by spite. And I'm kind of shocked that it's not even bigger, to be honest with you. I feel like I should hear it more places because it's just kind of like a perfect song, and that's Redbone by Childish Gambino. Right?
Phenomenal
Dude, that song's perfect. I'm cooling in this Call of Duty lobby, Redbone. I'm making dinner, Redbone. I'm having a bottle of a whiskey and a glass of wine for the missus, Redbone.
It always works.
Yeah.
I go to the store to pick up a chew toy for my dog, Redbone.
Redbone.
Oh God, okay. Dude, if I could fucking hate you right now.
That's the sequel to Kiss Me Through the Phone.
Yeah, if I could
punch me through the Discord.
If I could cause violence through Discord. Dude, could you imagine zooming into a violent home invasion? That'd be tight. Very pandemic friendly.
Very pandemic friendly. Okay. Jasper, you said so, man.
All right, yeah. I'm riding high on the Elliot Moss representation. So the other single from the pack I recommended previously, Lazy by Elliot Moss, and I mentioned it on the last episode, but it's really relevant things in there as I cross over into the second half of my 20s and can tell things are not quite the same as they were in a variety of ways. And the song hits for that. So
getting old. That's what this song is for.
over the hill of the decade, yeah.
My first song is going to be by an artist that Brandon put me on a very long time ago. Another group was Injury Reserve. Absolutely phenomenal. Their song called Knees is a slapper, a banger, whatever you want to call it. It is a great song, so I highly recommend that.
Yeah. It's my turn. Absolutely. My next one I'm going to recommend is by a group that I am extremely into. They're over now. When Purvis was like, "Oh, this is a group that we were both really into," I thought he was going to recommend someone from the same one. I'm recommending San Marcos by Brockhampton.
Yes.
It's kind of their sing-songy one from Iridescence, and it's fantastic. The build to the child's chorus at the end is fantastic, and like the metaphor for like the entire song is about like their past and like what everything is like leading up to like that point in Brockhampton and then like the chorus like representing like their fan base. Fantastic. 10 out of 10 song.
I miss Brockhampton.
Dude, the Saturation Trilogy was probably the best like year anyone has ever had in my life. I don't think anyone
honestly
has had
3
a
albums
year.
all great within a year. Phenomenal.
Really within 8 months. Like,
yeah.
You know, and then and then they put out another classic after that, at least in my book. Like,
well, it's over for both of you once Freddie Gibbs drops those 6 albums he's been talking about.
Yeah. I'm ready for it.
I will listen to all 6 right now. Right
at
now.
the same time.
Where does he have them? Where are these 6 albums?
I don't know. We'll see.
Hopefully it comes soon enough.
My second song is a certified classic and somebody who I don't think we show enough love to, but I think it's because none of us are particularly like the best versed. It's MF Doom, Raps and Its Knishes.
Dude, we got
featuring.
We're doing a deep dive soon.
Deep dive.
One of the strongest.
Put it on the calendar. Put it on the calendar. Like we're gonna do a deep dive. We're gonna do an artist profile on MF Doom.
Because I think all of us need to take time.
I've listened to some MF Doom, but I have not given it the respect it deserves.
I honestly think this song has one of the strongest features of any song in rap with Mr. Fantastic. Mr. Fantastic opens this track and carries the entire first verse, and he does the chorus, and then MF Doom comes on. It's crazy.
I mean, it's fair. I mean, he has a catalog that's insane. So
he does, yeah.
It's very, very exciting.
That is, as the kids are calling it, bananas.
Yeah, it's a very strong presence on this track. Yeah. I think he's a great feature.
All right. Purvis.
All right, well, I'll close this out then. We've talked about this weeks ago now, but the song I'm recommending was brought up out of a discussion that we have because we like to almost place singles as a timestamp in our lives. Some of the examples that we had was a Little Pump and Kanye song where they had this ridiculous video together.
Yeah.
We know exactly where we're at.
I do not listen to that song because I like that song. No one should like that song. I listen to that song because it brings me back to summer 2018, which is one of my favorite summers. You know, like.
So these singles serve a purpose. So what I decided to do, J. Cole is one of my favorite artists out there. I went back to look at his singles, and Snow on the Bluff was such a phenomenal slow song. You don't get a lot of slow songs.
Wasn't a response to No Name?
I'm pretty sure. So like it holds a very specific memory in my mind. So like I love to go back and like rediscover this music.
Absolutely. All right.
We're done.
Well, who knows? Next week we may have you might be seeing a lot more of us nowadays. But yeah. Purvis, are we bringing back playlist of the week this week?
I mean, I guess we could.
Could you have it done by Monday?
I could easily have it done by Monday, but we need to decide what artist.
A Summer Smash themed playlist.
We have to pick 5 artists and focus on them. We'll do the headlines.
Sure. We gotta we'll work on the playlist, but playlists of the week are back. We used to do that a long time ago. Remember that? Boom. Dude, West Side Gun. All West Side Gun playlists.
You have to bring it up.